Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Odds here. It's Sunday, and I'm supposed to do a Sunday special report on the ESPN and how tabloid it's become, and just how much it's not very enjoyable to watch their coverage of the NBA anymore. But we had the big news come through yesterday. Finally, the Raptors hiring their new head coach, Darko Rajakovic, assistant coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. So I do expect to talk a lot about that higher today. So that's fine. We'll talk more about it in the next few days. But also, I do want to talk about the ESPN stuff too. But let's get right into your comments because I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about what's happened yesterday. And I do too. I'm actually very delighted to know that we did hire Darko. I think this is what happened, y'all. We were thinking about Sergio very seriously, but in some ways, Sergio's success in Italy is getting in the way of getting hired to come here and be in Toronto. In fact, we don't want to mess up Sergio's Italian league run that's going on right now, where he's in the finals against Milan. Well, they lost their first game on Friday, and maybe part of it was a distraction of the head coach search of Toronto coming and talking to him, and that maybe Sergio was like, this is kind of, I want to really focus. There's a lot of noise there. My players are wondering what's going on. So maybe Masai was like, you know what, Sergio, if you win the Italian championship, you're going to go to the European tournament for a championship of all the countries. And this could take till like the end of July. So it's like the timing just doesn't work for Sergio. And in some ways, the hiring of Darko is to cut him loose from all the pressure of this coach search and to help him to be able to do what he's doing. Sergio had no problem with this. In fact, immediately after we announced that we hired Darko Rajakovic, Sergio had a statement glowingly saying, I'm so proud of my European coach friend, Darko, getting this job instead of me. I thank the Raptors for consideration. And I really do love that family, and I'm a part of it. But I understand this is just how it's got to be. I mean, it works for everybody. It's too bad that it's not Sergio, but there's good reasons why. So now he can very much just focus on the Italian championship and not have this looming around. Because in some ways, I think we hired a coach to help Sergio with his issues. And we just realized that like waiting around for Sergio is just not going to line up with the timeline of the draft. That the draft is coming up so soon. Sergio could be in the middle of the heat of competition over in Europe. And it just doesn't line up. So you can't really jump that train out of the European basketball season into the NBA scheduled season the way things are in a way that's going to be fitting things. So it just doesn't fit. And Sergio's a little older. Now, Darko, he's 44. He's younger, and he can be our coach for a long time from now. So I'm very, very happy about this hire. A lot of people are saying, well, why didn't we hire him already sooner? I think we were seriously considering Sergio and wanting to see how things could go. But at this point, it's just like we need to get somebody in. And we did. The reactions of the Grizzlies fan nation and the Grizzlies players says it all. Says it all. Immediately after he got hired, Desmond Bane saying, well deserved. Desmond Bane, who is in his third year, last year, just like Malachi Flynn, the whole story that everybody says, oh, we should have taken Desmond Bane over Malachi Flynn. Well, Desmond got unlocked by Darko. He will very specifically tell you that Darko Rajakovic is the man who helped him become the player he is right now in the NBA. That he unlocked him, and that a lot of those guys on that team are very happy and proud of Darko getting this job. But they're also very sad to see him go. The Grizzlies fans are in a weird place right now with the uncertainty of Ja Morant and his suspension. Dylan Brooks is definitely not being asked to come back. Now they're losing their top assistant coach. Yeah, I could, if I was a Memphis fan, I'd be a little worried about next year and possibly being in a little bit more of a slide just because of the issues that are going on around their team right now. If you lose your franchise player for most of the season next year, and you lose this guy, like your brain trust with Taylor Jenkins next to him, yeah, it's going to be a tough year for Memphis next year. Now, Taylor Jenkins. All right, this is Eric Smith on Twitter. He's saying that Taylor Jenkins is saying stuff like, well, this is what Zaire Williams saying. Eric Smith's quoting him. His basketball knowledge is very good, especially on the offensive end. His schemes and the way he reads the game, it's pretty different. I haven't seen it before, honestly. How does that sound to y'all? We kind of had that feeling when Nick Nurse came in and took the job from Dwayne Casey in the summer of 2018. He sees the game different. There's like nobody like him before. Isn't this the kind of stuff we want to hear about an offensive innovator that's coming in to take over the leadership of our team? It sounds fantastic to me. In fact, he is a very much more offensive minded coach, and he has a lot of his fingerprints all over teams like Memphis recently, Phoenix Suns in recent years, and also the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, man, this is going to be a good hire, y'all. On the down low, all these casuals and all these people that don't really pay close attention to basketball are all kind of like being stupid right now. They're like, who? What? The Raptors are going to be in a rebuild for 5 years. They're all predicting bullshit when they don't know anything. These people are amateurs. These people are idiots. These are people that don't really follow basketball or understand basketball. They're immediately reacting negatively to Rajakovic's hiring because y'all don't know what he's going to do with us. There is really in reality an area where he can land in success or in failure. I know that, but y'all are already thinking he's going to land in failure. You're idiots because this guy is a winner. You don't go from coaching kids in Serbia like 10 years ago to like our 15 years ago to getting to an NBA head coaching job if you're not very, very good at coaching. You just don't do that. There's no path that opens up for you to get to the point where you're coaching an NBA franchise from coaching little kids in Serbia. I'm telling you, unless you really, really know how to coach and you really, really know what you're doing. So, yeah, let's see what y'all are saying this morning. It's such an awesome feeling to have some rejuvenation with your new coach and feeling positivity about what can be possible. All right, Dana is in first. Always good to see Dana first thing in the morning. Good morning, everyone. We got us a coach. Let's go Raptors. That's right. Let's go Raptors. We are heading into our dark mode, baby. That's right. Get all the lights off and let's head into the darkness with Darko. And, the world is dark already. We might as well have the team go dark. And, I'm not about like saying this is a bad thing. Sometimes you need the darkness with the light, that the darkness is absolutely essential to understand the light. And sometimes if you're a little bit dark in your life, when the light finally comes, things are good. So I'm feeling real good about this hire. And I think that the guys are going to feel real good about it too. This guy's got a really cool personality. One of the things I saw in one of the interviews I watched about him yesterday, of course, I went deep dive like crazy, learning as much as I can about Darko, is that he likes to have a kind of a chill relationship with the players. He's very jokey and kind of personable. In fact, that players in the Grizzlies really laugh and talk when he talks about swag. The word swag is a funny word around the Grizzlies. Now we got to look about the Grizzlies last year. Think about that team. They had a lot of controversy last year. Shannon Sharp tried to fight their whole entire team in LA. John Morant was running around with guns, throwing them all over the place. Their big center got hurt in the middle of the season and couldn't contribute for half the whole season, Steven Adams. They had a lot of controversy last year. Dillon Brooks being Dillon Brooks. Well, did they seem unhappy? Did they seem morose? Did they seem like the Raptors, like somebody died when the way they were hanging around and like, oh, no, they were like, we're dancing, we're coming down the hall and we got swagger. That was what the Grizzlies were all about in the middle of a dumpster fire. And to me, in some ways, the fun of that is from Darko Rajakovic. That this dude has a way of connecting with them and getting them feeling kind of like up and like, woo. So maybe part of the Memphis Grizzlies' great dancing in the hallways is partly because of the feelings they get from having Coach Darko around. I don't know. Maybe I'm grasping at straws. But the good feelings around Memphis last year, even though they were a dumpster fire, that is kind of says something right there. And that they say that he's the cool dude. He's the cool coach. He's the one they're upset is leaving. He's the guy who, when he talks about swag, they're all laughing. I'm telling you, he's a cool dude, and he's going to get his personality across to the Raptor players, and they're going to really like him. I have a good feeling about this. All right, Trevor Jay's here. Let's see what Trevor's saying. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone has a happy Sunday. It's a good day to celebrate. I hope everyone had a good sleep after the news. Yeah, I tried to. I fell asleep on the couch. Yeah, man, this is awesome. Seriously, we had the unknown of not knowing who our coach is. Well, now we know who it is, and in some ways, he's very interesting. There's other things about him that are very good. The fact that he's not American is actually a really, really good thing. If we had hired Kenny Atkinson, I would have been like, but I'm glad we got an international coach. He did just become an American citizen in April. It's kind of bad timing. Him and his wife became American citizens in April this year, but now you're coming to Canada, Darko, and hopefully you'll be here for a long, long time. And maybe you'll become a Canadian citizen also. That's the thing. We want you here for a long, long time. This is going to be your own show here, man. And that's the thing. Some people have described him as being very hungry to prove things and that he wants his own show to do it. Toronto's the spot. And so it could be that, listen, he doesn't have any affinity or allegiance to any specific NBA team in this league. He's worked for the Thunder. He's worked for the Spurs. He's worked for the Suns. He's worked for the Grizzlies. Well, if this is going to be special because his first head coaching job will be in Toronto, and that is going to bond him in a certain way with us, in a very special way that hopefully he can have a good allegiance to us and not do any funny stuff when he becomes a huge celebrity coach like Nick Nurse did. Hopefully he'll stay grounded and he'll stick around instead of that big-headed Nick Nurse going and getting that money with Clutch. Darko has a more likelihood to stay around if he's very successful with us and stay around for a long time. That may have been part of the figuring in of Bobby and Masai. It's like, look, we don't want to keep changing coaches. We want this 10th coach in the history of the Raptors to be the next coach for a long time right now. We're not trying to switch this like our underwear. We want this dude to stick around. So in some ways, him as a hire is actually good for this, because if he really takes to the international city of Toronto and really feels like he has good success, his family's happy here, he could be like what Nick wanted to be here. And that is really, really good. We want to have somebody who's not going to be like 5 years from now, oh, I'm going to go and get more money, coach the Lakers. No, we want somebody who's going to kick ass here, continue to kick ass, and stick around and kick ass as an institution, as a coach for us. And I could see Darko doing this, that he has no allegiance to any team in the league at all. And he will have the number one allegiance to the Raptors because we're the ones who gave him the shot to be a head coach in the NBA. He won't forget that. He will appreciate it. Listen, I look at his Twitter and all he is doing is thanking coaches that have taught him. Monty Williams, Taylor Jenkins, Maurice Cheeks. He's putting all the people ahead on blast. Greg Popovich. So that's what I'm saying. He's very appreciative of people who give him chances and have mentored him. Well, Masai's given him a huge chance now. And in some ways, he's going to be super appreciative of him giving him the chance to coach an NBA team. So I'm really, really, I think this is a great hire. I think casuals will be like, what? Who's this no name? I don't know who this is. Well, that just speaks more about you than it does about Darko Rajakovic, if you do not know who he is. Yeah. Trevor's saying we find the best coach for the job. He's going to develop all the young players. He did such a good job with Desmond Bain. What if he comes in and all of a sudden Malachi Flynn plays more like Desmond Bain? Seriously, I mean, that could not exactly happen, but it could be that Malachi gets unlocked to a degree in certain ways. I think that Darko will utilize our players and their skills much, much better. There's a lot of interesting ideas about what he could do with Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam specifically. That, he has a way better offensive mind than Nick Nurse does. I don't know what Nick Nurse was fucking doing with our team on offense in the last couple of years. He wasn't connecting them, that's for sure. He just had them out there running around, and I don't know what they were doing. Well, Darko has much better offensive schemes, and he's going to have better ways of getting guys open, better ways of utilizing them off each other. And also, he has a very sound philosophy of finding the open man. So there's a lot of things offensively we're going to do way better next year, just because this guy is more cutting edge than Nick. This guy is on top of the very, very newest stuff in the league. And as Zara Williamson said, he's coaches like nobody else I've ever seen coach before. So this is really good. This is a hot shot upstart, just like Nick Nurse was in 2018. We're getting the wave of this dude. I can remember when I first heard Darko's name, and it was a long time ago. It was around 2010. I remember some pieces about a coach in Serbia who was doing amazing things with a youth team over there, and he was getting a lot of buzz around then. In fact, he was kind of like looked at as like one of the geniuses in basketball up and coming, just because of his methods. There was a lot of buzz about him early on around then, and then he kind of just went into the grind of the NBA as an assistant coach, and he worked and worked and worked underneath. But nobody's going to talk about him at that point. But he did get a lot of press from what he did in Serbia with those youth championships way long time ago. And I did remember his name from way back then. I saw his face and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this guy's face. I remember reading about him a long time ago. And well, he's just like fruit. He's ripened to the point where he can be a head coach at this point. It seems like it's exactly the right time, the right age, and the right place where he is. In some ways, it's better for him to leave the Grizzlies because next year is going to be a difficult year for that team in different ways. Another factor about this made me think, we could go get Dylan Brooks this year now. And he would have somebody who is very familiar with dealing with him and trying to get him under control. So maybe Darko could be a door to opening to get Dylan Brooks on our team this year. I don't know if people would want that. But the fact that he's worked with him very closely and he's not welcome to go back to Memphis, it could be Dylan Brooks is on the Raptors next year, just for another familiar face that Darko's already worked with. Plus, we got a Canadian, I don't know if it's exactly the right move because there's a lot that comes with Dylan Brooks. That's for sure. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Nameless is here. Raptors will now target the next Serbian superstar, Nikola Juricic, in the entry draft. Bet. Think Masai is messing around. Look at Nameless. Nameless is going all nationalistic now. In fact, a lot of Raptor fans were saying, well, is this on the sly? How we're going to get Nikola Jokic on our team or Luka Doncic? Get a Serbian coach, and then all the great Serbians in the league just flock to your team? No, it doesn't work that way, guys. You know that. Now, if we just draft because we got a Serbian guy, only Serbians, that doesn't make sense either. Come on. A lot of people are critical of the Raptors for like targeting people like Delano Banton or just Canadians just to be on the team because they're Canadian. So why would they want us to be all Serbian just because we got a Serbian coach? It won't hurt, obviously, that he may have connections to Serbian players that are top players. But I don't think it's likely that this is going to be a Serbian basketball hotbed just because we hired Darko. I don't believe that. I don't think that's going to be what happens. Now, if we draft this guy, you're right, Nameless, then I'll be like, whoa, maybe Nameless is right. But I think this is a stretch. I really do think this is a stretch. Tom Duke is in the house. Good to see Tom Duke. Let's go, Coach Darko. Sure wasn't what I expected, which was what I expected. Exciting for Raps Nation. I wonder who his assistants will be. Will Darko have free reign to hire staff and choose their roles? This is something we're going to go over next, is as we get the information of who's going to be underneath him and his staff, we'll definitely be informing you here as we get the names and find out about them. I will tell you all about them, do the deep research, and let you know who the new coaching staff will be as they get announced. I think that there's going to be a couple different things where he could garner coaches from. He may take a couple coaches from the Grizzlies that work with him there. Probably not totally likely. There's also the possibility that the Raptors do hire some of the people that were on their candidate list for the head coaching job as assistant coaches under him. It's not totally clear who Darko will get as his staff. It could be a very young, new staff that nobody really knows about. It could be that he has friends that really are waiting to get a chance that he works really well with, and they could be unknowns. So who knows? We're going to have to see what happens. One thing we need to know, though, is that Darko has been around the NBA for like 12 or so years. And even as a European scout for the San Antonio Spurs, he does have friends and connections all over the league. And so he may have people that we may be very surprised come in and be assistant coaches underneath him. He has a mentor in Maurice Cheeks and has a very good friendship with Maurice Cheeks. Now, Maurice Cheeks is getting up there, And I don't know what his current situation is with what team and where he's working. I think he was in Oklahoma City with Mark Dagnall or something like that, most recently. But the possibility of Maurice Cheeks being an assistant coach for the Raptors is there because of the relationship between him and Darko. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how they fill out this coach's staff, and I will promise I will be on top of it and giving you as much information on these people as we find out who they are. Let's see. Tom Duke is saying good day for sure. That's right. This is gonna get a little dark, you know. Let's whatever. Let's invite the dark into our life. Let's go Raptors. It's gonna go dark mode. That's what Memphis kept saying on their advertisements for the last couple of years. They said we're going dark mode. They mean Darko Rajakovic when they talk about that. They did a whole ad campaign around this idea of Memphis going dark. Well, it's time for the Raptors to go dark because our new coach is Darko. Yeah, Isaac saying, let's go. Checking all the boxes like a boss. And Masai and Tom Duke, we trust. Tom's laughing about that. Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, he does. One of the ways that the media is describing Darko right now is he's kind of a guy who's versatile as far as what direction we're going. Josh Lewenberg has got a ridiculous article this morning on his he posted on Twitter or on Sportsnet or whatever he's got. Let me just bring it up real quick and I'll tell you about what he's saying. He's talking about basically how it's still not clear what direction the Raptors are going in with this hire. And partly it's he's right. I mean, I guess we can understand, yeah, it's a crossroads. We could either go to a bad place or we can start succeeding again in a good way. I get that. But the thing is, he's versatile in this way. Like if the Raptors do have to scrap things and start to do more of a rebuild, Darko can handle coaching a team like that, a rebuild team that's developing, but he can also handle coaching a team that's winning and has high level players. So he's really kind of a catch-all coach for whatever mode we're going to go into in the near future. It's not like we have to choose one. He can be versatile enough to switch to whichever one we want to do. And I think that was part of the attractiveness of him is that, you know, we can have him as a coach when we're struggling and we're kind of just developing. Maybe we do a little bit of a rebuild, quote unquote. No, I hope not. That we will be okay with him still being the coach. But if we are keeping everybody together, you know, and we're going forward this summer with the core that we had last year, he can still like coach them and get more winning out of them and play at a high level and win now level 2. That he's not really either a development coach or you know, he's not like Casey and Nurse where one's a development coach and one's like a high level coach. This guy's in between and he can do both. So I like that versatility in him. Now the media people, they don't understand the direction that the Raptors are going in. Well, it's very evident. Masai keeps saying it. He likes his guys. He wants to keep the band together. He's trying to keep this core together, and he wants to see if a new coach can get better results out of them after firing Nick Nurse. So everybody's kind of questioning what the hell are the Raptors doing? Well, we're trying to still win, and we're trying to keep these guys together, and we're not trying to restart this whole thing. We are going forward with most of our guys from last season this year, probably. And we will probably be trying to win and make the playoffs and do what we did this past season. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, we'll be just mid. I hate that. We don't want to be right in the middle. We either want to be really good or really bad. People are so stupid. You think you got to magically just become really good all of a sudden? No, you got to build up the stair steps to get to be one of the top teams in the league. And we fell a couple steps this past year, but we're still climbing up to get to be one of the top teams in the league. And everybody who thinks we can't do it, y'all just don't understand how teams can get better really quick from young players making leaps in their game. You go ask Memphis and how much better they got when Desmond Bane made a leap in his game because of the guidance of Darko Rajakovic. So that's what I'm saying. You know, we are in a good place. This is the right coach, and he's a versatile coach. Whatever direction we're going to go in, he can lead us, and he'll be very effective. He can go either kind of coaching way. So I like the hire for that. It's really, really smart. And Isaac's right. He checks a lot of boxes. He checks a lot of boxes that we wanted. Tom Duke saying, thank goodness it ain't all on me. Darko will have big expectations on him. He will and he won't, Tom. In some ways, he won't. Because in some ways, already the general NBA fan sees this move yesterday and laughs at it. And then also says like the Raptors are not going to be in the playoffs next year. There's already people predicting this. Well, that's what I'm saying. The expectations are low for us at this point. So in some ways that's good. That's good for Darko. There's going to be less pressure because nobody's going to expect us to do anything. We'll watch when we do, just like we always do. They expect us to be shitty, and we come in and we're very successful. I'm hoping that will be what happens this year. But we don't know. We don't know how it's going to go. He's got to have the confidence of the players, and the players got to buy in. The players got to learn his system. The players got to execute his system. And then when they show success, hopefully, then we are in the playoffs at the end of the year. But that's all work that they have to do and get it done. In some ways, having Nick around and knowing how, kind of what he's going to do makes an easier off season. Well, this year they've got a new coach. He's going to have a whole new mentality and a whole kinds of new stuff. Training camp's going to be so crucial this year. And we're going to need to see these guys learn his new system. Now, I think hopefully the Raptors players will really enjoy Darko's system. Maybe it'll be way easier fun to play and way more effective than Nick Nurse's crazy ass shit last year. So it's going to be a tall order. They're going to have to learn it and they're going to have to take to it. And hopefully it'll work really well. One of the things I really like that I've heard Darko say in interviews recently, which is the opposite of Nick Nurse's philosophy, is that he's going to cater his system to the skills of the players that we already have. So he's going to look and see, all right, I got Precious, I got Scotty, I got Pascal, I got OG, I got Chris Boucher, I got Christian Coloco. He's going to go through the whole roster and really look at where we have really good talent and really good attributes. And he's going to maximize those things about those players to get the best out of them instead of making a blanket system like Nick had and telling them all you have to fit into my system. He's going to make a system that really, really gets the best out of each individual Raptor. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm sick of this like cookie cutter. Everybody goes the same way. Like Nick wanted everybody to do the same thing. And there was no utilization of the specific, really good things about certain players. Well, maybe Darko will get that all out of our guys next season. We'll be very happy. And also the players will feel like they're getting special treatment in their own personalized way. And maybe they go even further and beyond for the coach, Darko, instead of how they did for Nick last year. Because they're like, wow, I get to do what I'm really good at and I like doing it. And I'm getting to do it over and over again instead of doing it once, showing it to the coach, and then coach stashes it away and never calls it again. That kind of stuff may happen this year. Like if Darko discovers good things with certain players like Malachi, well, he's going to keep going in that direction. And maybe we get unlocked more of Malachi Flynn this year or something like that. Who knows? Let's see. G's saying the more I read about it and listen to him, the more I like him. Coaching since 16, was a scout and is known to develop players. Apparently, his interview went extremely well, and he really wanted it. That's awesome, G. I love hearing what you're saying. That's right. He started coaching at 16. Now, the casual NBA fans saying, "Well, he must have been such a shitty player if he had to start coaching at 16." These are idiots. Once again, people who have these kind of mentalities are idiots. Oh, you always like have to put people down for something like that. Maybe he liked coaching more than playing. Maybe he was more cerebral about it than physical. Maybe he wasn't very good as a player and he was ready to start coaching right away. I don't think that's a slight. I think that people that are saying stuff like that, you're idiots. Some of these people that have a mentality about what makes a good athlete and what makes good at stuff like that, some of y'all are really fucking stupid. And in some ways, him going into coaching right at 16 is actually says a lot that he knows what he wanted to do at that early young age. And he went for it. And look at the path he's on now. At 44, he's the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. So you can put him down for starting his coaching career at 16. But you know what? To me, that signals he knows what he wants early on. And he went for it and he got on that path early. So I think that's good. Yeah, he is known for scouting in Europe for most of his early career. He was coaching teams in Serbia and around Europe while simultaneously working for the San Antonio Spurs as a satellite scout for them in Europe. He wasn't actually in the U.S. working for the Spurs. He was over there kind of looking out, eyes on the European players for Greg Popovich and the Spurs back then. Now, the fact that he's had interactions with Greg Popovich and that connection's always attractive to me, that this guy knows Greg and they're good. and stuff like that. Now, the second part of what G's saying here is that his interview went extremely well and he really wanted it. Well, this is something we wanted from our coach. Kenny Atkinson or Doc Rivers could have came in and been casual in an interview and said, "Yeah, I love to coach the Raptors. Doc, do you just want a job? No, I want to really coach the Raptors. I love the Raptors. I think you just really want just a job. Go home." It's kind of like that. It's like the dude probably came in and he's like, "Look, I really want to show the world what I can do as a coach. I really, it could be like how Nick Nurse was when they interviewed him in 2018. He's hungry. He has something to prove. He's come up through the trenches and gone through a path to get to this point, to get this opportunity. I'm telling you, these kind of things, when you give a golden opportunity to someone, they never forget it and they're appreciative of it. And Darko Rejakovic is always going to be appreciative of Masai for giving him this opportunity. So yeah, it went extremely well because he's a personable person. He's charming and he has a way of connecting with people. Even though he's from Serbia, he can go and sit down with young Scott Wayne Barnes and probably make him laugh and probably get him into like something. He'll get him, first of all, I'll bet you what he'll do is he'll start talking basketball technically. Maybe say like, Scotty, I really saw what you did in the low post with your back to the basket moves and stuff like that. How would you like to do this with this and this and so and so? And Scotty's like, "Oh wow, this guy really knows what he's saying." And then all of a sudden, Darko turns around and says, "I really like your swag necklace." Wait, what? Whoa, why you say swag, Darko? Whoa, what? You like my swag, my neck, my chain? He's like, "Yeah, I really like your swag, man." And he's like, "You're funny, Darko. You're cool. I like you." It's just like that. It's how it happens. Ingratiate yourself with the knowledge so they understand, well, this guy knows what he's talking about, but then be cool about it and kind of be a little funny. And then boom, they like you. I like this guy. He's fun. Oh, I want to go out there and kill the other team for my coach, Coach Darko. Yeah, that's how it works right there. This is why the Memphis guys get up. They were like so loose and like, we're gonna play and we're gonna kill you. Their mentality partly is fed by Darko Rajakovic being a top assistant on the Grizzlies. I'm telling you, this is part of it. Anya's here, otherwise known as Bradley. Let's go, Darko. Let's go. Let's go, Darko. Rely on Masai. Yes, Mike is here. Logical Raptors fanatic is in the house. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Man, it's exciting to have a new coach. I was wrong on the finals thing, it being Sergio. I haven't looked too much into Darko. I'm interested to hear more. Yes, Mike. Yes, Darko Rajakovic. Let's go to his Wikipedia page. At the top of it, it says this subject of this article is in the news regarding a reported hiring. Information regarding the hiring may be based on anonymous sources or awaiting an official announcement. Well, I see Raptors Red all over that that personality profile now. It says Toronto Raptors. It says assistant coach on it, but they better change that to head coach because this man is going to be the head coach of the Toronto Raptors now. We see in 1996, Darko Rajakovic started coaching Borak Kazakh as a youth, and then he went to Svrana Zavana, and then he was in Espacio Torrelodones in 2009. So he was coaching youth leagues from 96 to 2007. Then he coached a Spanish team from 2009 to 2012, and then he came over to the States and he started coaching Tulsa 66ers, the first ever European G League coach in 2012. And then he went to the Oklahoma City Thunder, was assistant for them for 5 years. Then he was with the Suns for 1 year, Monty Williams. And then he went to the Grizzlies, and he'd been with the Grizzlies from 2020 to last year. And now he is the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. There you go. Really interesting people that he's been around. Now, he did win during the 8 years he was in the Serbian Youth Championships. He won 2 championships that in those years while he was coaching the youths in Serbia. I think it's so unheard of. A guy who goes from coaching kids to coaching in the NBA. This is not normal. I'm telling you, this is not normal. Most people go and they coach high school or like not high school, but college first. and then they get to the NBA. But coaching kids to get to the NBA, that is very, very interesting to me. Seriously, very interesting. And the fact that he could coach kids to success shows that he has a way of connecting with people even at any age. So, you know, it can be, it's got to be different challenges of coaching children over coaching adults. And that's kind of interesting. Mike, I'm looking forward to your drop. I want you to go deep dive on Darko and give us the deep stuff on Darko. I know you will. And I can't wait to see Darko Rejakova get your treatment on your channel. Check out Logical Raptors Fanatic, y'all. He had a piece yesterday come out on Fred VanVleet in his end of season interviews. I'm sure the Darko piece is coming up soon. Mike, you go. Logical Raptors Fanatic. Race Mode Daily's here. Great morning, Lex from Praha. Would have loved to have seen Sergio take us back to the chip, and Masai and Bobby we trust. There you go. Edmund liked Sergio. A lot of us were like, well, Sergio. But I think, seriously, I think Masai and Bobby kind of heard us on the channel and other people around. It's kind of like, what the fuck is going on with the Raptors? Why is this taking so long? And maybe they kind of noticed that like people were kind of losing confidence, maybe feeling a little weird stuff, that they needed to just go ahead and do this. I'm telling you, if Sergio had not been so successful in Italy this year with his team, he might be our coach already. But because he's still playing in this championship and this gets drawn out, he wins this championship in Italy. He's got to go play in the European Championship too this summer. And that's not really fitting with our timeline. So it's not that Darko's a second choice. It's just that Sergio just it didn't line up. Just like Becky Hammond didn't really line up with things, with the timeline of things because of the aces. It's the same thing. Sergio just doesn't line up with things because of the schedule with his team out there. So it's just what it is. Nako's here. Good to see Nako the Nacho. He's got a show coming up on the 22nd or something like that, 26th or 22nd at DuPont Comedy, stand-up comedy. Go see Gerald Mayhew. He's great. I think it's also good to have a completely new voice. Yeah. He's going to be completely different and new. In some ways, it's probably true. Over the 5 years that Nick was around, there may be a little bit more and more of tuning out in certain ways. These guys get to know like how much they can get away with coaches, and they tune them out. Nick, in some ways, for being such a hard ass and being such an asshole, he was also kind of a non-confrontational person too. And there could have been things festering down low for a long time that he just was ignoring and kind of like hoping that they just work out and he could get them more bought in. I think the friction of the assistant coaches and him on the team made the team lose respect for him. And that tuning out of Nick got worse and worse as the season went on. Then he finally gave up in a press conference at Philadelphia. And then the team was like, well, you're giving up. We're not going to listen to you anymore because we don't respect you anymore. And that's where we got with him. So that was absolutely necessary that Masai fired Nick Nurse. And anybody who still doesn't understand why we fired Nick Nurse, you did not pay close enough attention to our season this year. The man failed all kinds of different ways. He failed in the playing game, not getting the team prepared enough to beat the Bulls. He failed when he didn't set them up for success in that game against Atlanta where AJ Griffin hit that last second shot. That was horrible coaching. There's all kinds of examples of bad coaching by Nick Nurse this past year with the Raptors. We can go into all kinds of different things. He did very poorly this year, and he absolutely deserved to be fired. So everybody who's like mad at Masai for firing Nick and like this is the replacement, and you think it's a downgrade, you guys are all going to be very, very wrong. And you're going to find out real quick next year. Because let's look at it this way. Nick Nurse is like a can of soda that we opened up 5 years ago, and it's been sitting on the counter, that just losing its fizz. Well, we just popped open a fresh can yesterday that's got a whole bunch more fizz, and the fizz is going to take us somewhere. And that's the difference right there. Nick Nurse is flat, and we've got a new soda that's got a lot of fizz in it now. It's going to be like that. Seriously, people are going to realize that Nick Nurse is a tired song on the radio, and that this is the new number one hit, the number one that just came out, and everybody's going to love the tune of this new song. Trust me. Yeah, there we go. Nameless is saying the Raptors have officially entered dark mode. I like this. Seriously, we can get more Batman motifs. Dun, dun, dark man, whatever. I may wear more black on my stream soon. I may go goth. Let's go goth with Darko, y'all. Put on eyeliner and I'll start listening to more Susie and the Banshees. Yeah. Yeah, we can get more goth with the Darko mode. Yeah. Fantastic hire. Fantastic. That's what Nameless is saying. I agree. The casuals are going to be dissing this left and right. Seriously, this is important. Raptor Freak cult. We've got to educate the casuals in this situation. Part of this is perception and a PR thing. Well, if you see people talking out of pocket about Darko, well, first of all, say we hasn't even started. Let's give him a chance, and then say you don't know jack shit about him. So how can you judge whether this is a good hire or not? So there's a lot of things we can do in the information war on social media right now to help bolster and protect the good name of the Raptors because people are really crazy right now. I went and looked at some of the comments that people are making. Sure, I get general NBA fan is laughing because they're like, oh, they went from Nick Nurse to Darko. Well, you guys laugh now. We'll laugh later. How about that? When we figure out how good he's going to be. Yeah. Josh Monroe saying Darko's going to challenge the players and build a positive culture with the players and unlock the potential and new levels the team can reach. I love this prediction by Raptor Freak Josh Monroe, and I agree. That's the thing. He's all about getting potential out of these guys. Zaire Williamson, Jaren Jackson Jr. was the Defensive Player of the Year this past year. How much of the influence of Darko Rajakovic helped him to get to that point? How much? Seriously, these guys in Memphis have overachieved and done very, very well for a young core in the last couple of years with their record. Think about how much Memphis has been winning. Taylor Jenkins says he's integral to what they do with their coaching staff there. He's absolutely going to be hard to replace. It's going to be really tough. And they're already talking about how they want to get who did they want to get to replace him? It's crazy. They're trying to figure out people to get in there for, there's other people that are like, get Charles Lee. Now they want to get Charles Lee now to replace him in Memphis. I think he's going to be good. I think as long as he gets young people like Scott to buy into what he's doing and they really get a vote of confidence to him, he's going to be very successful. You just got to win those young Raptors over and they will do whatever for him. And boom, we're going to kick some ass. So I'm all about the hire. I think it's a really good hire. I was saying that last week when we talked about him on Wednesday. I would take Darko. Darko's fine. Kenny, no, I don't want Kenny. But Darko, yeah, Darko's going to be good. All right, let's keep going with the comments. I love to see how much y'all filled it up and so many different names. It's so good to see everybody here. G saying Grizzly fans are in shambles. That was my first hint that he was great. Yeah. Meanwhile, Sacramento fans are jubilant because Jordy didn't come here. Seriously, they're breathing a sigh of relief. They're like, thank God Toronto finally got a coach and we don't have to worry about Jordy Fernandez leaving the Kings. That similar thing was going on with the Grizzlies fans. They're like, don't pick Darko. Don't pick Darko. Damn, they picked Darko. And they're like that now. So the Grizzlies fans really understand how valuable and great he is, and they celebrate him. Obviously, assistant coaches don't usually get that much shine or become kind of like celebrities in the team like that unless they really are important and doing really big things. And that's the thing. They understand how much Darko's been doing for them, and they don't like this departure. They really don't. Nameless is saying this hire tells me one thing for sure: Darko is or was more qualified than Jordy Fernandez. Fact. Darko over Sergio. Fact. Well, Nameless, now you don't have to worry about a short little Italian man coaching the Raptors, right? Wasn't that going to be a problem? You're like, no Italians coaching. Just trust me. Nameless, the Italian guy saying that. Listen, I don't know who's better, Jordy or Darko. I know that they're similar in certain ways. And I was just glad that we got one of those two guys. If we were looking for a fresh, new mind that's innovative, that kind of like a Nick Nurse in 2018, well, Darko and Jordy were those two guys. And I think that what happened was that in some ways you may be right, that they kind of maybe the interviews went way better with Darko. G's saying that the interview went extremely well with Darko. He just wowed them. Maybe Jordy didn't wow them as much as Darko did, or who knows? There could be all kinds of different circumstances that caused them to go the direction of Darko. We heard that Jordy wasn't invited for a second interview and that he was kind of out of the running last week. So it made sense. And some people are saying, where the hell did this come from? Well, we knew that they were talking to Darko Rajakovic. Mike, we knew that they were talking to him. And, he was still on the short list for people that were considering. And, well, that's who we hired. It's such a Raptors hire. Seriously, if you think about it, it is really, really kind of a Toronto Raptors franchise kind of hire. Darko Rajakovic, new head coach of the Toronto Raptors. It just sounds right. It just sounds right. Let's see. Mike saying it seems like Masai was just doing an honest full head coaching search, then researched and debated and cut the list and then went full scope mode. And it took time to get all the relevant info together. Yeah, they didn't like hurry. And they were very, very diligent in looking at everything, I'm sure. I bet you this dude fits so well with his personality. The other thing is he's got to work really closely with Bobby and Masai now because they're going to want to watch things a little closer because of what happened this past year. And I think because he has such a great personality, that Darko and Masai are going to have a real good friendship, a friendship that'll be more real than the one that Nick Nurse had with Masai. I mean, I know that they were close and they had a lot of the same things in common as far as wanting to win, but there were certain things about Masai and Nick that didn't totally line up in some ways. So hopefully Darko and Masai's relationship is really, really good, really honest, really open, and always kind of like working together and not against each other. Because that was a big part of the problem in the last year of Nick Nurse. He was not doing what Masai asked him to do, and that's why he got fired. More reasons why he got fired. Let's see. Kareem's here. Good to see Kareem Thomas, one of the original Raptor freaks. Not going to act like I know this guy, but I do respect that he has dedicated his life since 16 to coach. Clearly, Masai has faith in this guy, and the fact that it took so long to hire, they did their research. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's got some really interesting ideas about like pick and rolls and like cuts and moving without the ball. And I think he's just going to unlock our guys a little bit more than Nick was able to because he's just a little bit more organized on the offensive end. I think that may be the biggest thing that we notice is that these dudes are going to do a system. They're not going to be so free for all kind of like you guys can fill in the spots. Like, all right, we have a basic philosophy about how you're going to move in the system, but we're not going to tell you specifically how to get open or do the shots. We're just going to say move the ball around until when somebody gets open and makes it. Well, Darko's more likely to make a play that's going to free somebody up to get a really good open shot. He's the kind of coach that's going to go in and look at our analytics from last year. And he said, why did we have such a bad, shot percentage near the basket? Why is our efficiency so bad on offense in this way? How can I fix this? That's the kind of stuff he's going to do. He's going to fix our offense so it's way more efficient. We're going to get better high percentage shots. We're going to have more assists. There's going to be all kinds of really good side benefits from having him in charge instead of Nick. Trust me, Nick did a half-assed job with our offense the last few years. He wasn't even trying. He gave way more attention to the defense and really put so much emphasis on it that the offense was starved to even get a drink of water. It was like it's thirsty in the desert. And now we're going to have a guy who really focuses way more on the offense. And if you think about it, all our guys are juiced up and already crazy on defense because of Nick Nurse and his systems the last couple of years. Well, in some ways, we want somebody to really over-focus on offense at this point because that is really our weakness. We're not good offensively. Well, this dude's going to figure out how to get us good offensive shots and a way more efficient offense. Trust me. That's going to be the biggest difference Raptor fans are going to detect is, wow, our offense is working way, way better all of a sudden. What the fuck was Nick doing? And everybody's going to be like, holy shit, I'm so glad Masai fired Nick. That's going to happen. Seriously, I'm going to bet that by Christmas. That people are going to be like, this guy is so much better on offense than Nick that we're so happy we got him. I'm going to predict that right now. Kareem, I like that you're being honest about this. And just know that Darko is funny. He's like a goofy guy. When we see him in interviews, he's going to be very matter of fact, but also have a little bit of a sense of humor. And, hopefully he's not going to be throwing anybody under the bus in interviews. I don't think he's like that. He has personal friendships with a lot of these players. Desmond Bain is like one of his best friends. So that's a good sign that like the players like him, and he's a players coach, but he's also tough. He has said in interviews that he will hold the players to accountable to doing the system correctly. the one that he sets up. So there is accountability within the friendliness and being a player's coach also. So Fiercely Salsera saying, "Good morning, fam. We got our coach." Yes. Love his credentials as well. So exciting. I know this is exciting. We got somebody to get behind, somebody to root for. Darko, you've got a whole country now behind you. Really, really, seriously. Canada's going to fall in love with you, hopefully. And you do good things and get us a second Larry O'Brien. Look out. You will always be a legend in the Great White North for that. So, welcome to Canada, Darko and family. He has a young child, and his wife will be here. And we want to wish you guys the best in this transition this summer, coming to Toronto and taking over as the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Hopefully, I don't really understand. I don't know how many connections he has with existing players on the roster. I don't think he's crossed paths with any of our guys that are on this team right now. Maybe Thad Young somehow, some way, because he's been in the league forever. But for the most part, I don't think any of our guys are really that familiar with Darko. Now, knowing Masai and Bobby in this whole long, arduous search, I'm sure they introduced Darko to quite a few of the Raptors who were around, and they got a good little feeling out kind of period. I'll bet you these dudes will be a little apprehensive in the beginning because it's somebody new they don't really know. But I'm going to fully predict he wins them over pretty early, and that they're going to be like, "This guy is cool." The Memphis Grizzlies, I know why they like him so much. So let's see how it all unfolds. Hopefully everything goes really positively, and the Raptors find really good success with Darko Rajakovic as our coach. I do understand it could go either way. It could be bad, and we could be very mid, but that's not what we're aiming for. We're aiming for the best, and I think we can get there with him if good things happen. So Josh Monroe saying, "I wonder if the team will play positionless basketball or will they run a set system because the style of play will change in the backup point guard position with Flynn, Delano, and Doughton." That is going to be a very good, interesting question. They're definitely not going to try and do some of the stuff Nick did on defense, I'll bet. He may do some positionless experimentation, but maybe in his own way, Darko Rajakovic. But I'm very curious to see if he goes very traditional with a 5 and a 1 out there a lot. And once again, we're going to have to see what Fred does this summer if he's going to be in a Raptors jersey still next year. This may actually be enticing to Fred to stick around. If Fred sees what Darko's done with Desmond Bane, he may be like, okay, he really knows how to use his guard like Bane, and he's really letting him do what he wants to do. It could be very interesting if Fred does stick around and we see how Rajakovic utilizes Fred. Now, one thing that Raptors fans are going to want is a little less Fred next year. That's the thing. We want to diversify our offense so it's not so heavy on Fred and Pascal. Well, that's what we want to see, Darko. Can you get more out of OG, Scotty, Chris, Precious, all those other guys, and get them more involved and not so heavily rely on Fred and Pascal? It could be that Fred all of a sudden is kind of like, you know what, Fred, you're going to be our closer, but we're not going to overuse you in the middle of the game. You're going to get less minutes, but you're going to be expected to hit huge shots in the last 5 minutes of the game. So be fresh and have good legs, and I'll do better because Darko has a degree in sports management, so he should. This degree in sports management isn't just trading and doing GM stuff. It's also all about rotations and building a roster in the way that will win. So in some ways, he can sit with Masai and talk about this draft coming up. He said, "Well, we want to get this player because I have something in mind for what I want to do with our offense coming up next year. Go get Cason Wallace, because he will fit this need that I want to do so bad." Like that could be part of the next process with Darko talking to Bobby and Masai about this draft, is that because of the ambiguity of the 13th pick and all the different players that are around that time, it could very well be that Darko has a big say on who we draft, because it may be like he sees a piece that's missing from our roster that he knows if we just get this one person, this could help with fleshing out the team to be more fully like what he wants. So I think it's going to be very interesting how he uses the existing Raptor players that carry over to next year, and then also who we draft and how much Darko will have influence on that. So, all right, let's keep going. Sas Anya or Bradley saying, "Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Join the dark side. Laugh out loud. Also, can't wait for the chips to fall with some trades coming up in the draft. Who we're going to pick. Let's go." Yes. We got a lot of exciting things to look forward to. Now we got the coach. That uncertainty is over. Now we can focus on the draft. And I promise y'all, the next weeks, 2 weeks, I'll be talking about the draft way more this week, next week also. And then also keeping an eye on who they're going to hire for understaff for Darko. We'll be very much talking about the assistant coaches coming in also, obviously. Nameless is saying Darko is going to unlock this roster and take it to places Nick simply could no longer reach with this roster. He spent all of the energy pushing them on the defensive end that in some ways, he really overburned them out. He really did. He burnt our dudes out in all kinds of ways. The lack of using the bench and then overly using them in minutes and then overly exerting them on defense all the time. It's really hard to gauge what our players could do with a little bit more balance between the offensive and defensive ends. This is going to be interesting to see what Darko does. It's not that he's not a good, I don't know what he does on defense. I don't know how he is as a defensive coach, but our guys are already very defensive oriented and they're very good. And all this stuff that has been built up the last couple of years is not going to go away to a degree. They've learned a lot of knowledge about defensive coverages and switching defenses in the middle of games, like Nick did from man to zone and all the different stuff. That in some ways they're built up and very knowledgeable on the defensive end. Now we need to educate them on the offensive end. And I think that Darko Rajakovic is the right man for this. So that's going to be the interesting part of it, is more of an evening out of our effort on offense and defense maybe this year, and not so heavy on just defense. Let's keep going. Shir Khan's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Excellent news with Darko. Never thought Sergio was a real possibility with Skype interviews. Darko has proven himself as an assistant coach. I believe he can be a great head coach, following the footsteps of Nick Nurse and Adrian Griffin. Yeah, thanks for being here, Shir Khan. I think Sergio was a very strong candidate, and he could have been this guy. But like I said, it's just too much, too long, and too much of distraction. Let's not hurt both of us. Let's not hurt Sergio and his competitiveness with trying to win championships over there. And let's not hurt us with waiting too long leading up to the draft. It just didn't work. I think that if things had worked a little better, like Sergio's team was not that far in the Italian playoffs, we may have hired him. But because he's so successful over there and he's in the Italian finals, it just doesn't work timeline wise. And I think that we may have hired him if that was not the case. So I think that it really is just unfortunate because he's a winner. He's such a good winner. It just doesn't fit. Monique is here. Good to see Monique. Good morning, everyone. Darko hours in Toronto on my birthday. Let's go. That's right. Monique got a great birthday present yesterday. She said, this is the first time the Toronto Raptors have ever hired a coach on my birthday, her 35th birthday yesterday. I hope your birthday was awesome, Monique. I know it was because you got a great birthday gift. A new Toronto Raptors head coach, the 10th coach in the Raptors history, Darko Rajakovic, hired or speculated to be hired as of yesterday. We'll see when it officially comes through in the next couple of days. We'll see the press conference, and hopefully, he's going to charm us all. He'll come in and he'll do his interview, and everybody like, I like that guy. I think that's going to be an overwhelming sentiment once people hear him open his mouth and talk. They're going to be like, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy's charming. I like this guy. I think that's what people are going to be saying when they hear him in the press conference this week. Let's keep going. Kareem Thomas is saying, and what did I got to do to get a wrench in my name? Do I got to set up an OnlyFans or something? No, Kareem. No, Kareem. And I'm sure you're a handsome man, but I don't want to see your OnlyFans. No, we did this when people were having trouble getting their comments through. I gave a lot of wrenches out, but I kind of downgraded on them too. I'm only giving them to people that are here like a lot. I know you're here quite often and you're pretty regular. But if you really want a wrench, I'll give you a wrench. You deserve one, of course. You're our dunk champion, I think. You and Seymour Pape are two of the funniest people on this, so I'll give you. Why not? You want to be a mod? You get it, Kareem. There you go, buddy. You got it. You got your wrench. Now don't get the OnlyFans. You don't have to do that. Fiercely saying Sergio co-signed Darko's hiring. This is great. See, listen, this is a class act. Sergio Scariolo. That Nick, you could learn so much from Sergio. Look how timely he made that comment, and he really he did it with grace. It didn't make him look bad that he got beat for a job. He said, "I'm so proud of this European coach getting this job, Darko, my friend." What a class act that Sergio is. You could learn so much from Sergio, Nick Nurse. Oh my gosh. You should have listened to him more when he was your assistant coach. Oh my gosh. But wow, Sergio, you're an amazing person. If time didn't make people age and get older, I'd want you to come and coach after Darko. But you're gonna probably be around 70 or something by that point, hopefully. And maybe past the time. But we've had our time with you. You're an NBA champion with the Toronto Raptors, no matter what, forever. And we just love you, Sergio. Thank you for being a part of our coach's search. And even if Masai and Bobby got to take an Italian trip and say hi and just get over to the old country there just for a little while, that was worth it in itself, just to say hi and to see your smiling face in person. So yeah, it is what it is. Thank you, Sergio. No harm, no foul. He's a great coach. In fact, he's playing for the Italian championship right now. And no hurt. What a classy guy. Wishing Darko well in this whole coach's search. Fantastic stuff from Sergio. Guardian saying this could mean some players may definitely be on the move. Raps swinging younger. I don't know if that's totally true, Guardian. It's very unclear. Like Josh Lewenberg is saying, we don't know. We re-signed Jaka Pirtle this summer. Hopefully this happens. If this doesn't happen, I'll be upset. And then, we'll see. Fred and Gary, those are the other signs. We'll have to see what happens with them. I don't know. Are we going to take the bait of some of these trades that are being dangled around the league for draft picks and players like Anthony Simons? I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see what Masai and Bobby decide. Trust in Masai and rely on Bobby. We know these guys are going to figure this out, and hopefully there'll be genius moves. The summer of 2018 was one of the best off seasons for the Raptors, if not a bittersweet, sad one. It was also one of the smartest ones ever done by a GM front office. Seriously, 2 moves, firing a coach of the year and hiring a Nick Nurse, and then trading a franchise player for another franchise player, all very risky, but what a payoff. And that's what I'm saying. This Darko Rajakovic hiring is the first step, is the Nick Nurse part. Well, let's see if there's going to be a DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard part of this summer also. Because this summer is a 5 years later kind of summer. 2023, 5 years after 2018. There's could be a lot of a similar kind of thing going on with the Raptors and their offseason moves. We now have the coach. So we'll have to see if they are, Dame Lillard's definitely on the move at this point. And who knows? Dame Lillard comes to Toronto somehow, some way. That really changes the makeup of our team. And it means we're winning now because the schedule that Dame Lillard has is very, very soon. He's not getting any younger. So we'll have to see what the moves will signal this more. But I think just the fact that we did the Pirtle thing at the trade deadline is already showing that we're not trying to go younger. We're trying to go with this core forward and win with it. And if we're getting too younger, it's because of draft picks, but not because we're trying to get a whole bunch of young guys. I've said it before. I want Scotty to be the baby boy. Scotty's a young guy in this core, and he's coming up with these guys that are ahead of him. And it's not that we want more youngsters after Scott kind of learning after him. Too many of them. Koloko's older than Scotty. And some of these other players that may be drafted, the guy who gets drafted this year at 13, well, they will probably be younger than Scotty, but we don't want an overwhelmingly young team. We've been young these last couple of years, but in some ways I want us to be older. I really, really do. I think that it's easier in this league to have older players than younger players in a lot of ways. They're headaches. I'm telling you, the young players are headaches in a lot of ways these days. Shirkan saying, when you do a real deep dive into Memphis's roster, it's pretty meh. Much like the Raptors, they have a solid starting 5 and 6-man, but after that, there's a big dip. The assistant coach did a real good job for the bench. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's always a cop-out when people say, oh, that team didn't have a bench. That team didn't have a bench. The Raptors didn't have a bench. That's bullshit. We had a bench. It's just that Nick Nurse didn't know how to use them. And that's something I want to see an improvement with Darko. And I think it will be. I think we're going to see something totally different from Delano Banton this year. I think that Jeff Doughton Jr. may get utilized way, way better this year. And, oh, my gosh, what could be possible with Koloko? Seriously, that's what I want to see. The difference in that kind of stuff is a cop-out. Oh, Bobby and Masai gave them no bench. That's why they're no good. Bullshit. That coach was lazy, and he didn't realize how to integrate them into the rotation in different ways or spot duty here and there in a proper way to get some more out of them. That's the coach's fault. I'm sorry. That's not the GM's fault. That roster was pretty damn good. It was better. There's been so shitty rosters in the history of the Raptors that have overachieved and done better than the team we had last year. We had way more talent on the team last year than Sam Mitchell did in the late 2000s, and then Dwayne Casey did in the early 2010s. This team was talented right on like Coloco. Seriously, we had a backup center. We had a center. We actually had centers. And still, Nick made it look like we were a Tampa roster. I don't know how he did that. How did you make such a talented roster look like our Tampa roster, Nick, this year? That's a failing of the coach. Failing. Nameless is saying, let's fucking go. Of course we hired the guy everybody sort of forgot about. It was Jordy this and Sergio that. Well, my dad's bad joke. He was the Darko horse candidate, and we went the Darko horse way. Listen, it's not that he came out of nowhere. We knew he was on the list. It's just that he wasn't the most flashy. He wasn't the most attractive in some ways. His name is weird. And people are like, oh, this guy's on this list. Who is he? And some of them are acting this way now. They're just like very, some people are just stupid. They judge people just from their names coming in. They're like, okay, this guy sounds like a nobody because his name is weird and foreign to me. Well, that's not the way to act about this. In some ways, you just sound stupid for being judgmental ahead of time just by a name. You have no idea who Darko Rajakovic is, most of y'all Raptor fans. And, well, we need to get to know him before you make a judgment on him. You have no idea who he is. Everybody wants a fair shot in life. You're going to judge somebody just off of a name on a resume? That's discrimination. So, yeah, let's give this man a chance. He's the next head coach of the Raptors, the 10th head coach in our history, and I feel good about it. You may not yet, but maybe you will soon. Trust me, you might. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Nameless is saying that's how we roll on the north side, baby. That's right, submarine. Nobody knows we're in dark mode already. That's right. Messiah and Bobby ain't telling you what's going on up here, y'all. Y'all gonna be surprised. Oh, they hired Darko Rajakovic. Oh, I'm so surprised. That's right, because we don't talk about this shit to y'all. Y'all don't need to know. That's right. Fun guy saying I would freaking love Dylan Brooks next to Van Vliet. Immediate grand update defensively over the talent, Trent, and offense not far off. Rebounding and even got better. Dylan was nice when Ja didn't play. So Fun Guy's big fan of this idea I just floated about Dylan Brooks coming here since Darko's coming here. I'm telling you, this is more likely because Rajakovic's here. Dylan may have choices, and he may be like, I really like Coach Darko. He's cool. And I do kind of want to go home. It'd be fun to own my house and be on the team finally, because I do own Scotiabank Arena. I owned it a couple of years ago. This is my house. Maybe I got the keys already. Maybe I need to go back. Yeah, I can go back and I'll wear the Raptors red and actually own the house on the team. Maybe that could be it. Yeah. Mike's saying Banton is a real legitimate prospect. Whether he's Canadian isn't a point in it. Banton would be in the league with or without us. That's a bad faith argument saying we drafted Banton because he's Canadian. I know. There's some people that say that, though. It's optics. It's just the way it looks, Mike. And they'll slight it. It's kind of like a nepotism hire. He's just here because he's your son. He's just the GM of the Leafs because his dad owns Boston Pizza. It's stuff like that. It's stuff like that. And it's not usually on merits. No, we know Delano's good enough to be in the league and he could be on any team. I'm just saying that some people look at that kind of stuff as optics and they're kind of like, oh, you're just hiring you're drafting a Serbian player because you hired a Serbian coach. It's that kind of stuff I'm talking about. No, he totally deserves it. And honestly, I'm so proud and happy that the first ever Toronto player that's on Toronto is the first ever player that's drafted by Toronto that's on Toronto. From Toronto is Delano. He's the right person for it. He's just strong enough and he's just a good dude all around. So, yeah, I agree with you, Mike. That argument's stupid, but there are people out there saying, like, I don't want players on our team just because they're Canadian. Well, it's actually good in some ways. We do get a premium from having people like Kem Birch and Delano Banton on our team. So it's not bad to have Canadian players, even though we're the only Canadian team. Some people will say, "Oh, we don't." Well, that means we're not getting them for their talent. That's bullshit. You tell me, Chris Boucher is not talented. and that he could go play for any other team in the league. Canadians are very good players. And, it just makes sense to have some Canadian players on the Canadian team in the NBA. Why not? In some ways, it's very smart for Masai to collect Canadian players here because they're home and they're more likely to want to re-sign with us. So Monique saying Sergio is totally a class act via Twitter. He is. He's an ultimate class act. That's class. That's classiness. That's respect. That's the way you do it, Nick Nurse. You fuck. Golly. Leslie saying, good morning. I think it's a positive sign that it took Masai this long to hire a coach. I'm sure he wanted to get it right. Yeah, they did their due diligence. And I really am happy with the hire. I think that, like a lot of people, the more I delve into information about Darko Rejakovic and learn who he is, the more I'm happy about the hire. I think that most Raptors fans, as they learn more about Darko in the next few days, are going to be like, okay, trust in Masai. Trust in Masai. Yeah, I feel like that too, Leslie. And good to see you. G saying Kendrick Perkins said Darko knows ball. That's what I'm saying. He knows basketball. This isn't like some dude who doesn't know what he's talking about. This dude started at 16. He's 44 now. That's a lot of years of coaching in all kinds of different places. And he's had success at the highest level with the NBA. There's people around the league. This is the other thing about Darko. He's been poached from other teams. He was poached from the Thunder to go to the Suns. He was poached from the Suns to go to the Grizzlies. Well, now we've poached him from the Grizzlies to come to the Raptors. That anybody who gets poached and moves from team to team like that because they're so sought after is that, that's a good sign that people are like, we really like you. We're going to pay you a little bit more here in Phoenix if you leave Oklahoma City. Okay, I'll come to Phoenix. Okay, I'll come to Memphis. Okay, I'll come to Toronto. And this is the thing. We're, like I said, once again, your first is always your most important. In some ways, you have an allegiance. You want to get that perfectness. If you can stay with one head coaching job for a long, long time, like Greg Popovich, there's some prestige to that. So in some ways, us being his first head coaching job does mean something. And if he's very successful, he's more likely to have loyalty because of that fact that we gave him that first chance. He is very much somebody, like I said earlier, that shows appreciation for people who give him opportunities and chances. So I'm feeling good about this. Daddy Gates is here. Good to see Daddy Gates. I just got to make one point. Remember how Memphis played when Ja Morant was out? That's all I got to say. Welcome, Coach Darko. He coached a lot of the Memphis team when Taylor Jenkins was missing. He had to leave the team for different reasons. He had to leave for COVID protocols at one point. And then also he had some family emergency or some family something going on. He had to leave also. And Darko took over as the head coach of the Grizzlies a couple of times in the last year or so. So he has experience really running things just as much as Adrian Griffin did and other assistants who just recently got a head coaching job. So he has real-time experience, and this is good. Yeah. Memphis did really well weathering the injuries and absences of their season this year. Steven Adams being out, the distractions of Ja Morant, they still kind of won a lot, and they did kind of have a little bit of fight in the playoffs. Of course, it was all mess. And how are they going to get together and figure things out in the playoffs in certain ways? They're going to be beatable. But the fact that they did what they did, and honestly, their record was really good last year, considering all the turmoil, that's kind of impressive to me. It's kind of like holding it together in the middle of chaos. Bradley saying Bilal's draft stock is moving up, which is good because other players may be there for us like Wallace or George. He's saying if we can't get Koulibaly, well, at least he'll displace some of the players that are up there to come down maybe lower like Keontae and Kaysen. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. I like Bilal Koulibaly. You won me over on this, Bradley. You make me want to draft Victor's little sidekick from the Metropolitans. But I don't know. His draft stock has gone so high that he's gone way up there. Spurs fans were like hoping he would drop so far that they could get him in the second round and still pair him with Victor in San Antonio. But now they're scrambling. They're saying, maybe the Spurs need to trade up so they can still get Koulibaly because they want to put him on the court with Victor. They want that synergy to come over from France intact. And, the Spurs may be making draft day moves just to try and land Bilal. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that all goes and stuff. But yeah, you're right, Bradley. It's going to be his stock going up is going to move things around for sure. Monique saying, Lex, be Gary or Fred right now. What would you do? Man, all right. If I'm Fred, Listen, I know I love Toronto. I know I said I want to be a Raptor for life, but Clutch is a really weird influence on me right now. In some ways, I like the business opportunities they're bringing me, but in some ways, I really do want to stay in Toronto. I mean, Pascal's my dude, OG's my dude. I really don't want to move my young kids somewhere else. Um, I kind of the money is important, but in some ways, it's not as important as everybody else thinks it is to me. So I kind of want to work with Bobby and Masai. Now, this new coach, Darko, how do I feel about him? Well, I kind of like what he's done with the backcourt in Memphis. So he would probably be very creative with me. I mean, the stuff that happened with Desmond Bain could be utilized with me in some respects. Maybe Fred gets a lesser workload, but he still has a very important role. I don't know. I think Fred's leaning to staying somehow, some way. If I was Fred and Gary, I would just stay on your contracts. Don't opt out. I just take the money you're already on the books for and just go into this season and give it a chance. Because in some ways that benefits them, as we said, with the new collective bargaining agreement and the new TV deal coming up, they may be able to get more money next year than trying to screw around with their contracts now. Now, it'll make the Raptors a real mess next summer because there'll be so many players that are kind of, in limbo and we have to figure out how we're going to pay them. In some ways, the Raptors want to take care of Fred and Gary this year if they're going to be around. But in some ways, it does favor Gary and Fred to just not opt out and stay on their current contracts going into the season and wait till the big money comes next summer. So I don't know what to say. And there is incentive for them to not opt out. And I don't know if enough Raptor fans actually realize that. And when they maybe don't opt out, that may actually freak people out and be like, whoa, wait, they're not leaving. They're not trying to go get money. Maybe the ESPN their heads will explode. Maybe, Raptors fans will be like, whoa, Fred's not as greedy as I thought he was. Stuff like that. Yeah. Fun guy saying, nah, logical. You're crazy. Banton was definitely not heading for the NBA that year or the next. Being Canadian saved his NBA career. He was an absolute nobody. Unfortunately, we drafted him end of the draft. Man, I think that's kind of dissing Delano. We know Delano's a good player. If anything, Delano's got a very unique body and skill set that's not very around the league. Like Josh Richardson kind of length with that kind of ball handling and like quickness. Yeah, Delano's an NBA player. I can't get behind this fun guy. That dude was going to be in the league no matter what. He was a star at Oklahoma or Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska. And, people knew who he was. He was going to get drafted. It's just that we jumped on it and we drafted him that year. So I can't get behind that. Trevor's saying American media and reporters never give the Raptors love. They give us 45 seconds to an uncertainty coach. And we have the biggest fan base of all outside the NBA, but outside of the U.S., but treat us like outside kids. I'm honestly hearing good things from the American media right now about the hire. John Hollinger very much signing off on it and saying this is an amazing draft choice by the Raptors to hire for their head coach. There's a lot of people coming out and lauding us for picking Darko as our new head coach. Insiders, people that know basketball, people that know coaches, people that know X's and O's are very much saying this is an excellent hire by the Toronto Raptors. And those are the people we should be listening to. The insiders that actually know basketball, the people that know the X's and O's, the people that know the inner workings of basketball and who are the hot shots and the young up and rising stars in the coaching realm. And Darko has been on that list for a while, and he's been waiting for this opportunity. Well, he's got it now. And I am so excited to see how much he can succeed. Seriously. I think the American press is being very kind to us actually about this hire. And other people, pundits and stupid people may be saying certain things. I don't know if this can be the Sunday special report on ESPN anymore. This is really not the subject today. So I'm going to switch the picture and the text for this chat to be more about Darko's hiring. I was going to do this tomorrow, but you guys couldn't wait. Obviously, we got to talk about the new coach right away as soon as it happens. Some people were probably mad that I didn't do a reaction last night. I can't. I'm on my schedule. It's 9:30, baby. We come around every 9:30. We'll catch what happened the day before. Let's see. Logical saying, fun guy, I enjoy your takes, but you're wrong on that. And the signal the Spurs wanted him in the Pirtle trade tells his speed is very desirable and would have got him in the league a year early, maybe. But yeah, I think that Mike's right. I did hear that, like, when we traded for Pirtle, that they wanted Banton to go to the Spurs, and we were like, no, we want to keep him. Uh, yeah, I'm with Mike on this, fun guy. I think that in some ways, favoritism because he was Canadian is not actually involved in this situation with this guy. This guy in particular. Name was saying Darko goes both ways, like my ex girlfriend. Ooh, I'm not giving a dunk for that. G saying Nick Nurse used iso ball to limit turnovers. Darko talks about how turnovers naturally happen when you play more team ball, and that's what his focus is on, ball movement. Yeah, I'm excited about a totally different approach. Nick Nurse was very totalitarian in certain ways about how he wanted things to be run. Very unforgiving, very upset if you don't do what he wants you to do and put you in the doghouse. Well, we'll have to see what Darko's approach is on this kind of stuff. I like what you're saying here, G. I don't want more turnovers, but you can still like play a more wide open offense and let things happen in a better way. Nick was too protective in some ways with the ball on offense, and we did have very low turnovers. That's true, and we did win a lot of the turnover battles and getting more points off of the other team's turnovers. But in some ways, like I said, there maybe needs to be more balance between offense and defense and philosophies, and that this was more likely with Darko now. Name is saying, shout out, yeah, hey, I don't even know what that means. All right. Monique saying, many still say it's a rebuild, laugh out loud. Well, it's not a rebuild if we don't move players. This summer, if we keep most of our roster, that's not a rebuild. Who thinks this is a rebuild? Even if Fred walks and Gary walks, that's not a rebuild still. We've got a lot of our core that are still here. If we start moving major pieces, like Pascal, Scotty, and OG are off the team all of a sudden, that's a rebuild. But if those three guys are on the team, that's not a rebuild. Fiercely saying, yep, I read he's anti-ISO. Pascal will finally catch a break. Thank God. No more isolation ball. No more ineffective offense with isolation bullshit. That's right, Nick. No more of this bullshit tiring out Pascal, making him look so old out there at the end of the game because he's so worn out. Yeah, we're going to save his breath so that he can absolutely be electric and slither through and get those easy baskets at the end of the game because he ain't ran to the ground the 3/4 in. So, yeah, I'm all about that, Fiercey. Infamous is saying, salute, freaks. I have a strong feeling this was not our first choice. With that said, I trust the front office. I don't know how to suss this out or really think about this. Like, who would have been our first choice? Who would have been? Is it somebody else that got hired? I don't think Adrian. We could have hired Adrian probably right away. He was already in house. But in some ways, a lot of people were saying we don't need anybody from this past year because of the problems from this year. And it may be good to just cut that chapter and just move on from all the coaches, Earl, Adrian, and Nick. And so some ways I think Adrian may have been one of the top candidates, but in some ways they were like, no, we can't move on. We got to move on. We can't have somebody from last year be our head coach. And then after that, Monty, I don't think Monty was the right fit. I don't really think Monty Williams was the right fit. I didn't want Frank Vogel. So it's not like we're missing out on coaches that got hired in other places in a lot of ways. And then you can start thinking about, okay, well, would we have wanted Jordy instead of Darko? Maybe. But like I said earlier, maybe Darko just did a really better interview and he just really did wow them. I think then in some ways, maybe all right, you start talking about what we were talking about with Sergio in the timeline. Was it Sergio or Darko? I don't know. I don't want to disrespect Darko Rajakovic and say he was a second choice. He was the choice. We filtered everybody through and he was the one left standing. And he's not a second choice. He's just, we did our process and he is absolutely the best one that fits with the timeline of things other than Sergio. And because Sergio did not fit with the timeline of things, that just is the right person for this time. So I can't say that he's like this not our first choice. I think he is. We went through the process and he's the choice we made. So Nameless is saying apparently Darko always enjoyed the coaching aspect more than actually playing. Yeah, I think he's a very cerebral person. Like I said, he may not be a big, huge guy. He may not be super tall, and he may not have a really good athleticism as a person, but he may very much love basketball, and he may very much be an X's and O's student. I look at Eric Spoelstra, the best coach in the NBA. That dude looked like he could play basketball. Seriously, look at that guy. You think he goes out there and he can play with the big boys? No, no. So it's not like he had an extensive playing career or anything like that. And he is the best coach in the NBA, undoubtedly, right now, Eric Spoelstra. So I don't think this matters as much as people think. It'd be nice to have an NBA experienced coach, as I put it in the coach's search, talking about this a lot, saying it'd be great if we have a former player as a coach, but in some ways it doesn't matter. And in this situation, it's going to be very interesting. What how this guy gets what he gets out of our players. I think his charm is going to be the most important thing there. Let's see. Jimmy saying, I like this Darko guy. Hopefully he can bring winning. Yeah, I hope so too, Jimmy. Good morning to the Pope of Positivity, Jimmy Pope. Yeah, I think that he's won most places he's gone to. Oklahoma City is a little eh. Phoenix was already starting to win when he was there. And then, Memphis has had very good success in recent years. So we'll see. I think he did very well in the G League also when he was coaching Tulsa. So we'll see. We'll see. Of course, I hope major success for him and all great things happening for the Raptors in the year to come, for sure, and the years after, too. G saying, not everybody is genetically gifted to be a top athlete. Some people are more thinkers. And he was big for Jaren Jackson Jr.'s development, whom he was the defensive player of the year in 2023. That's right. That's right. I like that. I like that, G. And that's true. I mean, the dude, I don't know how tall he is. Let me see what it says on his wiki. Does it even have his height? No, they don't even want to put his height there. Who knows? Maybe he was really slow. Yeah, and he's been fantastic for the Grizzlies. They're happy to see him get the job, but they're not happy with having to replace him. Daddy Gates is saying it's drip. It's drip now, Lex. It's not swag. Well, maybe that's why they think it's so funny that he's calling it swag when it's drip at this point. Maybe he's funny because he's kind of out of touch, but he's trying to say the words, and they're all like, "Coach, you are a trip. You're so funny with like your vernacular, trying to say our young words that we say these days. It just sounds funny coming out of your voice." I think that may be part of it. I mean, I get that effect here sometimes. Somebody young tell me to say something hip right now, and I'll sound so out of touch, I'm sure. Yeah, they call it drip instead of swag at this point. Well, that was the whole funny word to them. The joke is swag with that team, though. It's like they get Darko to say the word swag, and they're cracking up. I think that's what was happening with the team, from what I understand. Shir Khan saying the one thing we don't need is that there is a parade in my city. Yeah, I mean, it's super dumb, especially for Memphis, as they have done nothing at all. Raps have a chip, have had a parade, and we don't even do that. I think I know what you're talking about, Shir Khan, that phenomena that Memphis, I don't know, Memphis is weird. They've got a really weird team culture around that team right now. And John Morant is part of it. Yeah, we've got a parade. We have pictures of an amazing parade. So yeah, we don't need to do this. We've already done it. Those guys are down there probably just wishing, maybe trying to hopefully to think about it. That parade's going to be Mile High soon in Denver. Oh yeah, Game 5 tomorrow night in Denver. Can they close it out? We'll have the ref report tomorrow morning on a Monday moment. We'll see what's going on. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Nameless saying, here's the facts. Toronto just hired a pure coach. He only coaches and ever wanted to coach. Nick in some ways was kind of like that, although he was a player when he was younger, and he did kind of have to switch into coaching from injuries. So yeah, I mean, I like your logic with this, Nameless. Fiercely saying Doc Rivers in person. I know when I do Doc, it's hilarious. I don't know. Doc is just, he's going to be not in the league this year. They're saying, Doc, now the NBA has told you you're a family man. Just go on home. Go on home to your family, even though your son's in the NBA. But, that's the other thing is that, what was I going to say about this? Doc Rivers impersonation. He's not going to coach this year. But you know what? Doc Rivers will be on TV, y'all, as played by Lawrence Fishburne. Did y'all know this? That they're making the Donald Sterling mini series about the stuff that happened with the Clippers and their owner Donald Sterling, and Lawrence Fishburne is playing Doc Rivers on that show. So it'll be like a mini series, kind of like the OJ trial mini series with reenactments of what happened during that period of time. So we will see Doc Rivers on TV played by Lawrence Fishburne, but not the real Doc, because Doc will either be at home or maybe he will be on TV as an analyst. I could see that happening. What if he gets hired as an assistant coach somewhere? What if he's an assistant coach for Darko Rajakovic? Doc Rivers, assistant coach, Toronto Raptors. I don't know if that's going to happen. Let's see. David's here. Good to see David Saborin. All right. Has he signed the things, or is this just another mirage to stall until the WNBA season's over? He's still waiting for Becky. He's like, whatever way you guys can make this drawn out, act like you're hiring him. No, we're going to hire him, David. They wouldn't do all this hoopla and jerk him around like this. Wikipedia wouldn't be changing his profile to having Raptors red on it. If this wasn't legit, David. It's almost like when the Iron Sheik died the other day, we didn't know it was for real until Wikipedia started changing it on his profile. Well, they're changing the profile of Darko Rajakovic to Raptors red right now. You can go look at it and you'll see it. So no Becky Hammond coming. I'm sorry, David. Sorry, it's going to be Darko, and we should be very happy about this. Wayne's saying Darko is so strategic, experienced and young. This choice is for the long haul. He will be allowed to fail forward. Excellent choice. Well, like we were saying earlier, the expectations for him are very low, considering where we are in the league and stuff like that. And people think we're dead and done. Well, you go ahead and make that mistake once again, NBA, that you think the Raptors are irrelevant and not going to be possibly fighting to get in the playoffs. Well, you go ahead and believe that. You should never believe that about us. If you've learned anything in the last 15 years with the Raptors and Masai being around, you got to be ready for us to overachieve and show up and ruin things as far as you think we're going to be so bad. Yeah, it ain't going to be like that. Watch. Yeah, you're going to see. Let's see. Fun guy saying, logical. You're funny, bro. Laugh out loud. Dude, you think a team was going to use a whole draft pick on some unknown guy in some small ass unknown college? He was a nobody. We 80% drafted him for Canada and 20% potential. I don't agree with this fun guy. He was known. He went to Nebraska, bro. Nebraska is a big college in the U.S. People knew who Delano Bant was in the United States. This is not factually right, fun guy. I'm sorry. Please do not sully the 45 bus from Rexdale. This youngster is a real bona fide NBA player. Why do you not think this? Didn't you see his summer last year in Summer League? And then what he did for our under Canada men's team? That he was so good in South America last year. That this year didn't really showcase the growth in the right way. And that's part of why Nick got fired. Is that Nick did not utilize the ball of momentum that Delano Banton had from last summer into the season. He absolutely killed his momentum as a player and progressing his development. So, yeah, this is not right, what you're saying here. Nameless is saying, Darko is a pure tactician, a pure basketball mind. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about that, Nameless. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. G saying, any chance Sergio can be some sort of consultant? He seems to really like and respect Darko. I don't know. I mean, it'd be weird if, like, all of a sudden he comes over and he's an assistant coach for him. I don't know. Maybe he's already consulting the Raptors all the time from afar. That, if Darko really needs to talk to him, you could probably call him and talk to him. Maybe Masai and Bobby have been talking to Sergio even since he left the Raptors in the last couple of years. So we'll have to see. I'm going to be very curious to see who his staff's going to be. This could be very, very interesting. Bradley saying, NBA, see you in the playoffs. Let's go, Raptors. That's right. We'll see you in the playoffs. We're going to get the 6th seed, and everybody's going to be like, holy shit, the Raptors are in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference? How did that happen? They're not even in the play-in this year. Isaac saying, we the Fizz. We the Fizz? Yeah, we were fizzing. Because of the pop can reference. Yeah, Nick Nurse is flat. He's like he's not a Dr. Pepper. He's a Nursey Pepper. I guess he's a Dr. Pepper. He's a Dr. Nurse. And he's flat with his weird fig ingredients and stuff like that. Meanwhile, we just open a nice sparkling darky water, and boom, it's fizzing. It's full of all kinds of effervescence and like vitality. Meanwhile, Nick's flat. He's figured out. You taste it, and yeah, it's flat. Yeah, it's 5 years old. That's what it is. Oh yeah, and see, Tom Duca's got the bubbles. I like the bubbles. Mike is saying next that what is he saying? Oh, I jumped. It jumped. Of course it jumped. Where is Mike? Where is Mike? After the bubbles, Mike. Where's Mike? All right, there he is. Fun guy. Wieskamp was picked before Banton, and look how things went for him. That's the story of a lot of wasted draft picks. But ours has value somehow. Yeah, Banton has elite length and speed at guard, in my opinion. Right there. I'm with you right there, Mike. Mike is exactly right. Fun guy. I'm sorry, man. Mike's got you on this. He has got you on this. He has elite length and speed at guard. That is the truth. And yeah, Joe Easy, Banton, these are good people to kind of compare. Joe Easy has not done as much in his career, and he was a lauded national collegiate player everybody knew about, and he got drafted. And meanwhile, Banton has done more in his pro career than Joe Wieskamp has. See that he's kind of taking your argument apart right now. Nameless likes the goth idea, wear some eyeliner and listen to more Cure and Susie and the Banshee, maybe a little Bauhaus. Yeah, we can go goth this year. We got Darko, baby. That's right. Fiercely Saucere saying nothing as annoying as drinking flat soda. That's right. Down with the Nick Nurse soda that's flat. You go ahead and taste it, Philadelphia. You're going to taste that flat soda this year. It's going to be as flat as a flopped Joel Embiid laying on the ground. Yeah. Let's see. Denal saying got rid of a nurse and got a doctor. Laugh out loud. I don't know if Darko is a doctor at this point. I really don't. I don't think he is. Jordy was a doctor. He is a doctor. But Darko, I don't think he's just got a master degree in sports management, but he's not actually a PhD. So we can't say that. I know this is important to people who have doctorates, who's allowed to be a doctor and who isn't, and what is a real doctor, a medical doctor, or a doctor of education, or doctor of this. I don't know. G saying when they hired Nurse, people were like, who? Back then too, people thought Masai settled just because he worked as an assistant for the organization. Yeah, yeah, this is exactly right. The effect of what's happening right now. Everybody who's questioning about this hire, go remember how you felt when they did the same thing with Nick Nurse. Everybody's like, wait, what? Not Jerry Stackhouse? Nick Nurse? What? Wait, what? Who? Who? There's a lot of that going on right now. And you remember how it worked out with Nick Nurse. Well, let's give Darko Rajakovic a chance also. That's right. Monique is saying, I was getting my ears pierced when the news came out on Darko. Yeah, I was juicing. I was in the kitchen juicing my juice, making my monthly juice, going crazy, throwing everything through that. Then I come back into the room and I look in the Facebook chat, and of course, Naco the Nacho has broken the news that we got Darko. Gerald's always on top of stuff. You go, Gerald Mayhew, for cracking the news of Darko yesterday when it happened. That was Gerald who did it. All right, let's keep going. Fun guy saying, yeah, a Kenny hire would have broken me. Darko may be touted as player developer, but his brilliant mind could bring us right back into things next year if we keep most of our core or all. That's the thing I love about the versatility fun guy is seriously, he can go either way. Like if we are not really doing right and it's not successful, well, if we destroy the team a little bit, he can still be a part of rebuilding it. And if we don't, and we're at a high level, he can coach that way too. Also, the versatility in that is something that I think is really big selling point on why they decided to pick him. Is that he can go either way depending on how we go. So, and in some ways, that also shows that we're going to give him an investment to possibly, like somebody said, fail forward. If he fails a little bit, we may not be so hair trigger and like firing him. We may give him a little bit of a leash to try things for a bit. So we'll have to see how this all goes. I really do like the hire, and I'd like the versatility. And if the Raptors go in different directions, he can still be the right coach for either scenario. So Nameless is saying we don't Super Mario coaching this basketball team. No thanks. That's right. You don't want Super Mario? Is that what you're calling Sergio? Super Mario. All right, let's see. Fiercely saying, sorry, Lex, I missed the beginning of the stream. Did you address today's topic? I agree. ESPN is crap. It was so obvious they were disappointed the Lakers lost instead of celebrating the Nuggets. Pure crap. I've not done the subject. In fact, I think I'm going to change the stream title and the picture after this to a Darko reaction stream. I wasn't going to. I was going to do the initial subject, but this is overwhelmingly the topic for today, obviously, and it should be. I was going to put it off till tomorrow, but we are too excited that we have to talk about Darko. So I'm going to shelve the subject for today, Fiercey, and we will bring it up as a Sunday report later in the summer. So we will still do the subject, but today is not the subject for it because obviously nobody wants. It's not what we want to talk about. I will do that subject though. It'll be shelved and it'll be a Sunday special report later on. But I'm going to switch everything after the stream, the picture and the title and all the writing to more benefit, like fit what we're talking about actually on the stream. Isaac Campbell saying ESPN still thinks the Lakers are going to win. I know, they're so stupid. Listen, ESPN, I'll do a little bit of my rant. ESPN, what the hell's wrong with you? Are y'all just for the big teams, the big market teams? You just care about Boston, you care about the Lakers, you care about the Knicks, you care about the Sixers, you care about the Bulls. That's like the handful. Oh, Miami's another one. These are the only teams you really care about. You don't give a shit about any of the other teams in the league, and you really don't do justice to the whole entire league, your coverage. It's sad because some of your analysts don't even know all the players in the league. Some of them don't even understand some of the teams that are in the league. There's 30 teams in the NBA, and that's your job. You should know about the whole entire league. You should know more about Denver Nuggets, and you should be like, you know what? This is a new, fresh story instead of the old, tired, stupid Lakers controversy stuff, Boston this, Chicago that, all that kind of bullshit. Well, you have a new opportunity to talk about another team, the Denver Nuggets, and you're dropping the ball on this. In fact, you're reluctantly putting them on blast. You're kind of like in some ways taking shots at them still, even though they're absolutely the most excellent team in the NBA this year and they deserve to win an NBA championship. In some ways, y'all are just taking some of the shine off that. And I know how this feels because you did the same damn thing when the Raptors won a championship. You really didn't wholeheartedly embrace the idea of a Toronto championship. And I feel like that's what's happening with Denver right now, too. The media machine around ESPN is not cool with the Denver Nuggets winning a championship, and they're making it clear. You know, there's all kinds of other things I could dig into right now about why ESPN is a toxic piece of crap as far as how they cover the NBA. But I'll save it for later, Fiercey, and we will do it properly. No, we did not talk about it. It's all Darko today. That's right, baby. Let's see. Trevor's saying, Lex, stop giving those dumb fans attention. They're just haters. They're crap. I know, and I don't like to, but you know, in some ways, what happens when big events like us hiring a new coach happens, I like to take a litmus test and see what the average Raptors fan are saying. And so I went around to different places, some Raptors posts, NBA posts, different posts where I want to see what American fans are saying. I want to see what Toronto fans are saying. I want to see what all the buzz is. And that's when I look at that stuff. But I don't put a lot of weight into it. But it is interesting to see what the common opinions and different things that are being said, perceptions of the hiring are. Whether it's non-Raptors fans saying, well, what a joke. The Raptors have just downgraded their coach from Nick to Darko. Well, they don't really know what's going on up here completely. You're right, Trevor. I don't pay much attention to them normally, but in these situations when big news happens like this, I do want to see what the reaction is and kind of gauge where it is so that we can talk about maybe some of the things people are saying that aren't totally fair. Like people are already saying this is a fail hire. Well, give the man a chance. You don't know if this is a fail hire. You have no idea who Darko Rajakovic is and what he's done in his life because you are a casual people. Usually when you just make blanket statements like that, oh, it's a fail. It's a fail. Do you know anything about him? No. Okay. Well, then how the fuck do you know he's a fail? You know, it's just like that. Denal saying, y'all just haters. Lakers still can win this in 6. Denal, you're getting a dunk. You are getting a dunk for just being out of reality and like showing exactly what they're like. Denal is on this list. I know Denal is on this list. Isn't he? Denal is somewhere on here. Maybe not. Denal, you're getting your first dunk. I thought you had one for sure because you're pretty funny. But yeah, you're getting your first dunk just for being so crazy. Was saying that the Lakers can still win this in the 6. No, LeBron is in Le Mans. It still makes so much sense. Le Mans having their 100th race that they get LeBron. Le Mans, LeBron, la. And it was a century of Le Mans racing, and LeBron's there waving the French flag and starting the race. It made so much sense. If he's over at Le Mans, how is he winning the finals in 6? Monique saying, Raptors social media watch? Anyone? All right, Monique, you got the request. You got it. You got it, baby. All right, we got Precious is putting on blast Ninja grilling equipment. So he's like showing off this barbecue made by this company named Ninja. So if you guys want to get a Precious Achua barbecue, they're made by this company called Ninja. So go check out that. And then he was watching a movie last night. I think it's Ghost, something Power Book 2, Ghost. That's what Precious was watching. Earl Watson's involved in Mo Williams summer basketball camps. So if you want to see where Earl Watson is, he's at Mo Williams summer camp. Chris Boucher getting his hair cut yesterday around 1 o'clock, around when the news broke. I don't know if that's his reaction to Darko becoming the coach. And then he's also putting on LeBron on blast for being at Le Mans, like I just said. Chris Boucher posting a picture of him there. Chris also saying, "Dear God, I want to take a minute not to ask for anything from you, but simply to say thank you for all I have." That's right. Gratitude is the best way to go, Chris. And thank you for taking a moment to just say thank you to your higher power, all the good things. And Chris is on a plane flying somewhere. He doesn't look that enthusiastic. He's kind of got a weird look on his face, but he's definitely on a jet flying somewhere. I don't know. Chris, I hope you're happy that we got Darko. We're going to have to see. He said he wanted any kind of coach that's going to give him minutes. Any coach is going to give him minutes is going to be good. Gary Trent Jr., Gary Trent Sr. always posting funny stuff. Always follow him on Instagram. He's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot. They were on pretty much on radio silence. I think that the Raptors yesterday on Instagram were not very active, partly because of the news, and they don't want to tip their hats either way about how they feel about the hire. The Grizzlies players were very active yesterday, saying all kinds of appreciation for Coach Darko and saying they're going to miss him. That's a good sign. We saw Fred wishing Adrian Griffin well when he left and went to Milwaukee, but really not a whole lot of people otherwise from the Raptors doing that for him. It's the same situation. Well, there were a couple, maybe two or three Memphis Grizzlies that actually congratulated Darko on him getting the job here in Toronto. Desmond Bain being one of them for sure. So, yeah, there's your social media watch, Monique. All right, Trevor J's got the butt face out. He's got it out in full effect. There are butt faces all over the place. Man, that's too many butt faces, Trevor. Yeah. He's like, don't go talk to the butt faces. Don't listen to them. I'm with you. I will. Stop reading their comments, Trevor. Yes. Nameless saying, Sergio reminds me of Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket in Pokemon. We can't have a villain coaching us. The league hates Toronto enough. Sergio's cool. He's like a handsome guy with charisma, and in some way he has Riz, and in some ways. I don't think people look at him as a villain. He doesn't come off as kind of a villain kind of guy. You think he's like the guy in Team Rocket on Pokemon? What? No, Sergio's too cool like that. Now, Darko, his name sounds like a Bond villain, but in fact, if you saw the guy and you talk to him, he's so nice and he's just such a nice guy. You get more like he's just a cool dude and not a villain kind of thing. So I don't know. I think you're right, though. We don't want more villain vibes on our team, and maybe that's why we don't want Dylan the villain on our team, because he's definitely the villain, Dylan Brooks. Bradley saying Darko's going to make Bilal a superstar when we draft him. Let's go. Bradley wants that Bilal Koulibaly in a Raptors jersey next year. Oh, if it happens, I won't be upset. Mike saying, going to hold my prejudgment on the hire. I need to see how he uses the team and study what he's doing. But definitely after background research and a bunch of games, we could know a lot more about Darko. Yeah, I'm really excited about training camp. I'm really excited about, we'll see little stuff in the beginning in Summer League. There may be, who's going to be coaching Summer League this year? Is it going to be Rico? And we're just going to send Rico there and he'll just coach our Summer League team because things are so up in the air, with who the rest of the staff is. And we want some sort of reliable continuity and familiarity with the coach at Summer League, that it'll be Rico. That could possibly be it. We'll just have to see. I really am going to be curious to see who our staff is underneath him. So, yeah, Mike, you got work to do, man. You got to dig into Darko's past and learn more and more about him and let us know the things that you've come up with him. I love your deep dive on Nick Nurse's career path. Maybe you need to do Darko's and go all the way back to his Serbian youth coaching and see what you can find out about his whole path. You've got some good work to do, Mike. I'm telling you, you got some good content coming. I know you do. Denal saying, haha, he said Team Rocket. I'm happy with Darko. Saw some people saying we only didn't get Jordy because he wanted money. Not sure I buy that, and it discredits Darko. Want our bench to show out. I think that in some ways, listen, Jordy in some ways has less a gumption to leave the Kings than Darko does with the Grizzlies. Think about the situation of the Grizzlies. Think about like Ja Morant's questions as far as like how much he's going to get to play next year. And the Grizzlies may really have a struggle kind of year next year. Meanwhile, the Kings are set up in really good spot and they can continue to really succeed. So in some ways, this is kind of like a Kenny Atkinson staying with Golden State kind of decision. It's like I'm in a really good position right now in Sacramento under Mike Brown, and I may not want to mess up this chemistry and synergy as far as me leaving to go take the Toronto job. Now, if it was a money thing, I don't blame Masai and Bobby if they decided they wanted to take Darko because he would be willing to come here for less money. If that was actually a factor in it, but we don't know. That's speculation for sure. But yeah, I'm very happy with this hire. And let's not try and think, oh, he's the second choice, he's the last choice, or this choice. He's just the choice. And that's the only way we need to describe it. Monique is saying, do we see Darko coaching this year's Summer League team? I see it. I don't see this, Monique. This isn't the right step forward first to start that way. I mean, maybe he does just because he really likes to do it, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think that he needs to have either one of his very new assistants come in and show that they're a part of it, or he allows Rico to do it. I think that if Rico's retained and he's still a part of his coaching staff, which I really hope is true, I don't want to see Rico Hines going somewhere else. The Sixers fans think he's already going to be a part of their staff because of Michael Grange's stupid rumor 3 days ago. They read it and they saw it from a Toronto reporter, and now everybody's saying, "Oh, Nick Nurse is already paying off. We're going to get Rico Hines because of Nick Nurse." Yeah, you keep believing that. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right at all. And I've already debunked why that doesn't sound right. You guys think you got Rico Hines just because Michael Grange wrote something out of his ass? Yeah, you go ahead and keep believing that. Maybe Michael Grange is doing this just to fuck with Sixers fans. If he's doing that, thank you, Michael Grange, for that aspect. But yeah, don't put lies out there. Maybe you're just like getting them all riled up and thinking some good's going to happen. When it doesn't, then I'll laugh. And Michael Grange made a lie and made all the Sixers fans get their hopes up. I don't think so. I think that it'll be Rico Hines coaching at Summer League, hopefully. That's who I'd like to see coaching Summer League, Mo. Name is saying, I disagree with you, Lex. I don't think Darko was any sort of consolation. In fact, if they truly wanted Sergio, I believe Masai would have had the patience to wait another month if necessary. Well, it doesn't really fit. It doesn't help things. It's really putting us at a detriment. It's true. What some people were saying on this channel in the last couple of days, it's really not smart. Click said it. To wait so long to get the coach. And because of Sergio's success in Italy right now, it's prolonging this and it's not becoming the fit. I don't think you're right. If I said that he was a consolation prize, I did not mean that. So if you're quoting me for saying that, I didn't mean to say that. I don't think Darko's a consolation prize. I think he's our pick. He's our number one pick, our first choice, because he's the one who got chosen. So I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. It could have been Sergio if he hadn't done so well in Italy, is basically what I'm saying. But because we have no idea when he's going to be done with his team over there, he could be playing until almost August. And the draft is coming up so quick right now. It just doesn't work with the timeline of things. Very similar to Becky Hammond and the Las Vegas Aces, Sergio Scariolo, and the virtuous Bologna team. It's the timeline just doesn't line up that Sergio could just like come and finish that and come here. If he was not in the playoffs right now, he may have been hired by us, is what I'm saying. But I don't want to describe Darko as a consolation. That's not the truth. We're very, very happy to get him. He's our first choice because he's a choice that Masai made. It's not like Charlotte. Charlotte's first choice was Kenny Atkinson. Well, he rejected it, and their second choice was Steve Clifford. It's not like that. We didn't make a hire until this one. So the first choice is Darko. It is Darko. Name is saying also, he don't care. Masai is a mafioso from Catazzaro. Okay. I didn't know that about Masai. Kareem saying, who can we expect for his assistants to be? Well, I wonder if he takes anybody from Memphis. I wonder if he takes anybody from Oklahoma City. I wonder if he takes anybody from the Phoenix team that just got disassembled with Monty Williams leaving. I don't know. Could he bring more European guys from his home country that he's worked with over time, or will it be more NBA people that he's worked with already now? Like I said earlier, a name on the list could be Maurice Cheeks. He has him in high esteem, and it could be that Maurice may be one of the guys. I know Cheeks is up there. He is very old, and he may be near not wanting to travel with an NBA team. But there's people he has relationships with around the league that it could be very interesting to see the names that become his assistant coaches. Until we get those names, Kareem, I don't know how to speculate this. Seriously. They could be European guys. They could be guys that are NBA guys that we know already, and they're just going to come in and like they're already assistants with other people. So we'll have to see. I'm really excited about this aspect too, because it will tell us a lot about his personality with how he wants to coach this team, who he picks as his staff. Bradley saying, "Welcome to the Wrench Mob. Let's go." Masai made the right choice. I love it. The Wrench Mob. Hilarious. We are the Wrench Mob. It rhymes with bench mob. I like it. Mike's saying, from what I'm hearing at the moment, it seems they went with the guy that can connect with the younger group better. Sergio's great, but this team is more younger, and that could have been the deciding factor. Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. And I think that is true. Sergio, in some ways, he's older, and I think Darko's a cool guy. I mean, those Grizzlies had a lot of riz and a charisma and swag, and so drip, that Darko, it was cool with them. And those guys are very cool dudes in the NBA. So if we want a cool guy like Scotty Barnes to buy into his coach, well, we need a hip, young, cool coach like Darko Rajakovic. And I think that may be true. In some ways, Sergio has a past with us. He may be too connected to Nick Nurse also, that we really want totally fresh, different kind of, some of the players are already familiar with what Sergio would want to do. When we want somebody completely different approach come in, other than Sergio. And I think that was part of it too. But Mike's got a good point. The connecting with the younger players, it may be easier for Darko. Sheer Constant, honestly, lots of Raptors YouTubers don't know much about Darko. I was big on him ever since that Yahoo Sports profile with Ahmet Man more than a month ago. A lot of similarity of rosters, by the way, Toronto and Memphis. Things are changing. Yeah. I saw that clip with Ahmet Man and Jamichael Cole. I think that's his name, the guy who's the reporter from Memphis. And he only had amazing things to say about Darko. The guy himself had spent time with Darko himself and talked to him a lot. And he said he's just a dude you cannot not like. He's like, I sat there and talked to him. He charmed my pants off and just made me feel really like special. He's that kind of person that can talk to somebody and really like make you feel like special and important, just in a moment's little conversation. So we like that kind of thing from guys like that. And especially if he's a good, effective communicator and a great strategic person, yeah, we're going to be in good shape. Nameless has got our cutoff at 10:30. Let's see. Leslie saying, I can't wait for us to play against Philly. I want us to kick Nick Nurse in the Crybaby's ass. Yes, and yes. Philly, oh my gosh. This is going to be such a grudge match this year. Oh my gosh. And now we got Darko to face off against Nick. I love it. Let's go. Let's go, Philly. We're waiting for you. Woo! Just bring it, Jabroni. Yeah, let's go. Bradley's saying 10:30. Let's go. Also, everyone, get your garden growing. Also, later, Lex and Raptor Freaks saying, get your garden growing out there. Toronto, Ontario, a place to grow. Let's grow. Yes, get your plants in the ground and get them growing in the summer. Yeah. Fiercely saying, laugh out loud. Isaac, you're right. Lakers live rent free in ESPN culture. Ridiculous. I mean, yeah. What is this? The ESPN is the cable company that's the Homer company for the Lakers. Oh, so over covering the Lakers all the time. Such bullshit. Oh man, I'm gonna go off on this fiercely, but I can't do it justice today. The overwhelming subject is obviously Darko. Dana's saying what Mo said. She's laughing at what Mo said. Yeah. Yeah, we have to go past the time. Nameless, we're talking about Darko. That's right. G saying part of Darko's philosophy is hit the open man. Sorry, Nameless, but going with Mo on this. Yeah, hit the open man. I'm all about that. I want to see them get more easier shots and stop working towards all this crazy, like whatever they were doing last year was like, what was that? Nameless saying, can we get a trust in Messiah chant with the lantern? The Layton? I don't know what that word is. Let's see. Infamous saying, I can't wait for Masai's pressure to see what his thought process was in selecting Darko. Yeah. Hopefully we'll hear from, well, maybe some people want to hear from Bobby instead of Masai, and then they'll know he's actually doing a job. I don't know. If it's Masai or Bobby, we'll see whoever comes in to introduce the new coach. Yeah, I want to hear their thinking and their process for sure too. Hopefully we'll see it tomorrow, if not Tuesday at the latest. Name was saying, great point, Infamous. Yeah. I want to see that process thinking. M. Jones is here. Good to see M. Jones, a great Raptor freak. Morning Raps family. I don't know. I don't know much about this new coach, but from what I'm reading and hearing, he seems pretty darn talented. Yeah, yeah, he's a hot shot. Listen, he was like a big darling, like I said, around the 2000s because of what he did with these youth teams in Serbia. He became like a legend. And so he kind of like really was like put on blast for a little while around then. And then, like I said, he went to the NBA, he toiled as an assistant, and now he's emerging as a head coach as of yesterday. So let's see what he's going to do. He has such an unlikely path to getting the head coaching job for the Toronto Raptors, and only people that are really, really good at the highest merit rise to the top like this. The cream rises to the top. And there is a reason why the path of Darko Rajakovic has led him to being the head coach of the Toronto Raptors at this point. This is not a fluke. This is not somebody who didn't deserve it. He worked very hard and he got himself to this position. And people have been raving about him as an assistant for years now, and they knew he's going to be a head coach at some point. Well, that time has come. Messiah said, "It's your job, Darko. Come take it and succeed with it." We're all about that. Yeah, I'm with that. Smooth Brown Man saying that he thinks that Fred is heading to the Suns. I've heard these murmurs too. The Suns have been interested in Fred for a while. We found out in the Parlay documentary that he was deciding between the Suns and the Raptors his last contract. And well, the Suns decided to go with Chris Paul, and then he re-signed with us. So we know the Suns are definitely a suitor for Fred because there's somebody who's shown interest in him from the past. We'll have to see how this goes. I really have no way of telling what's going to happen with Fred. In some ways, I'm very 50-50 on him. 50% he's going to be a Raptor, 50% he will not be. So we don't know which side of the 50-50 he's going to land on. Name is the same, the absolute smoothest of the brown men, Smooth Brown Man. That's a ringing endorsement if I've ever heard it. Anya, a.k.a. Bradley, saying, can't wait till you call Darko and fuck Nick Nurse. We're on the dark side. Later, freaks. Have a great day, everyone. Yeah, I'm not going to call Darko yet. I got to make sure that he has time to get settled and to kind of like get his bearings here in Toronto. And, maybe some reasons why I would want to call him before I actually call him. I guess I could congratulate him. But yeah, we'll see. There'll definitely be phone calls going on this channel, as always. We know I'm going to do fake phone calls. It's just one of my shticks. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Rapid Free crew. Just woke up. Laugh out loud. Welcome, Darko, to We the North, Canada. Yes, Cool Cat. Good morning. Thank you for being here, sleeping in on a Sunday. Of course, everybody wants to sleep on a Sunday. If you get here for the Sunday report, that's dedication. I appreciate that. Sunday's the morning to sleep in. And it is sometimes like, you're doing a 9:30 show every day. You don't ever get to sleep in on Sundays anymore, Lex. Well, it's just part of the price you pay to be the Raptor Freak on the Raptor Freak channel, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, I want to welcome Darko too, Cool Cat. This is going to be fun. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. This is the enthusiasm that we wanted. This is the kind of thing where people are going to be like, all right, we got somebody new running things. Hopefully they're going to have amazing success, and we're going to get to see very entertaining Raptors basketball next season. Way better, more fun basketball than we did last season. That was painful and not fun. Everybody agrees on that. The Raptors season was not fun last year. Let's make it fun this year. Infamous is saying Delano was a great prospect. Logical is right. The Spurs tried to trade him from us and add to their core. His length and talent is unquestioned. Yep. I mean, listen, Infamous, Logical, myself, we're saying this, fun guy. I'm sorry. We can't agree with you on that. Chris comes saying, I didn't know much about Darko until the coach search, but I'm hearing good things. I'm excited to see what he can do. I want to see Flynn drop 20 plus on Nick Nurse and grab the dub. Chriscom, if we can make this one of your predictions for next season, I would love to see what you just said. A Malachi Flynn revenge game against the Philadelphia 76ers with Darko Rajakovic unlocking him just like he unlocked Desmond Bain. And all of a sudden, Malachi is a really like a good player on our team. Everybody's like, we love Malachi. He's doing so good. And why the fuck could Nick Nurse never get this out of him? And boom, he destroys Nick Nurse and the Sixers next year. Eric Flynn standing on the court side just smiling. Yeah, that's what you get, Nick Nursery. Yeah, I love that prediction. I want to see it happen, Chriscom. I'm with you. Wayne saying our choice of coach is so businesslike and ahead of the curve. Most other teams all hired former coaches apart from Adrian at the Bucks, who came from us. Great choice. That's what I'm saying. Masai ain't here to pick up a wave that's already came and crashed on the beach. He wants that new wave, that wave that nobody knows anything about. Some people say, oh, that's dangerous. You get a coach that's never coached before. That's dangerous. Well, in some ways, if you do your due diligence and you really do the research and you understand who the guy is and the personality and what he's done, well, why is it dangerous if he already shows the signs of being a great coach? In fact, the whole COVID pandemic has kind of shown these guys have to jump in and coach all of a sudden for guys that have to go on protocols. They're getting more opportunities to get looks at assistant coaches as the head coach because the coach is absent due to protocols. So in some ways, that's helped scout out a young assistant coaches more than ever, the pandemic, because there's more opportunities for these guys to step up and coach a game or two here or there. The same thing with Adrian Griffin this past year. He had to step up and coach his absence of Nick Nurse. Well, Rajakovic was there when Taylor Jenkins was not able to be there. So we have games on tape that Rajakovic has coached singularly himself as the head coach. We can go find those tapes from Memphis, Mike, and we can see specifically what he does when he does coach. All right, let's keep going. Of course, the system is Taylor's, and he's using it. We don't know what his system will be exactly, Darko's. Excuse me, jeez. I'm just going to get this out of here. Oh, excuse me. All right, that's better. Woo! Woo! All right, M. Jones is saying, really what I'm happy about is that we finally get to start anew. No more Casey, Nurse, and that's why I was on the fence with Sergio as well. The season is going to be time to grab that popcorn. M. Jones is enthusiastic and ready for this new season. Feeling real good. Nice, clean start. None of this, nobody Casey, no Nurse, no Scariolo. Brand new head coach of the Raptors with a new mindset, totally different. Shir Khan saying, oh, we got 30 plus people watching me right now. Let's give some love and smash that like for the algorithm. Thank you, Shir Khan. I appreciate that. Yes, please like and subscribe and share, please. Continuing with the comments. All right, where am I with that? Oh, gosh, it jumped. All right, Cool Cat's going on a little tear here. Let's see. Darko was coaching since age 16. 30 years of coaching experience. He was at Oklahoma City with Durant, Westbrook, Serge era, Suns, Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson Jr., Bain, Zaire, all credit him. Yep. Doc Rivers could be one of our assistant coaches. He's good friends with Masai. I don't know if that's likely, but if it happened, I'd be like, that's weird. That'd be a little weird. It'd be a little weird. I don't think that's going to happen. I was joking about that earlier, but I don't think that's likely. I really don't. Let's see. Delano Banton was going to be a top high draft the following year in college. He left a year early, and Spurs wanted him for Jakob. Banton was awarded all first team at FIBA in Brazil, being on Team Canada. Yeah, he's the real deal. He's not a fluke. He's not on our team just because he's Canadian from Toronto. He's the real deal. Infamous saying, how we fill out the rest of our staff is very important. I think Darko needs to bring an even mix of veteran and rookie coaches. Well, he's probably going to have a lot of veteran coaches. I don't know how many young, like he may bring like one or two guys from overseas that he knows, but more likely he's going to use established NBA kind of head kind of people that have been around, like Terry Stotts going to be with Adrian Griffin in Milwaukee. He's going to probably have somebody like that. You know, I don't know who it'll be though. I don't know all his linkages, like who he actually like is very close with. And who could be possible with this? We could be very pleasantly surprised with some of our assistant coaches and be like, holy crap, he got this guy or he got this former player. And we'll be like, wow, this is actually a pretty cool staff. And I'm hoping the names will be like that. They may be nobodies and we don't know any of them, or there could be some known names and we're like, this is interesting. So we'll have to see who it is. We'll definitely have to see who it is. Cool Cat saying Darko has several published papers on basketball. Go check it out. We have another brainiac head coach. That's what I'm talking about. This man's writing papers on offenses in the NBA and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. We want a brainiac coach. I love it, Cool Cat. Dana's saying, like I said, we need to stay out of the medical field. No doctors and no nurses. We just have a sports management degree with Darko. Denal saying, I meant his initials. Darko R. Haha. I'll take the DR that way too. Okay, he just shortened his name to DR, and that's what he meant. Okay, yeah, no doctors, just a DR. This Darko Rajakovic. Space Cadet saying, I think Fred tweeting about Darko will be a huge tell as to what he's going to do. Haven't seen it yet. Hopefully soon. I don't think any of the players are going to say anything about Darko because he's unknown and they may not want to say, yay, we got a new coach. If the coach comes in and says, yeah, we're cutting your minutes. So they're all kind of like, we got to suss this out and see what this coach is going to be like when he comes in and how he's going to use me. And none of them are going to be like, yay, he's coming in ahead of time without knowing what's going to happen to them. So, yeah, I don't expect any of the Raptors to react to this hiring. It'll be more like they're going to get to work with him and they're going to see how they feel about him over time. And we won't see them talk about it online. It'll be a personal thing. Some of them are really going to like him, are really, really going to like him. Some of them may not like him because they may have a little bit more diminished a role just because of what he wants to do. So we'll have to see. Fred is okay with whatever role. If he is going to be a Raptor next year, whether it's minutes or whatever role, he's always said this. He just wants to win. He doesn't care what position he plays. He doesn't care how many minutes. He doesn't care about certain things like people think he cares about. So he's willing to change his role if it means more winning. That's the most important thing to him is winning. So if he's on the same page with Darko about winning and he understands why he's utilizing him a certain way, I'm sure he'll have no problem with him. Cool Cat saying, I read that Sergio's agent was the one publishing articles as a bargaining chip for his European contract over Raptors coaching job. Darko and Sergio are friends. Yeah, they're definitely good friends. And Sergio was such a class act yesterday, right away with thanking the Raptors for the coach search and congratulating Darko. Whatever happened with Sergio, he needs to navigate what he's got on his plate right now. And that's a championship final against Milan. And he lost the first game. So it may be like, he's like, Masai, listen, I can't, my team doesn't know what I'm going to do. They're all question marks about me leaving to go to Toronto, and it's distracting us in the Italian championship right now. Please, are you going to hire me or not? Can you just hire me now before it's all done? I don't know. You know what? We'll figure this out right now. And then boom, we hired Darko. And then Sergio's like, okay, Masai did help me out by taking that cloud of weirdness away from above me so that I can fully compete with my full heart with virtuous Bologna. I think that's exactly part of it right there. It's like Masai's helping Sergio to very much fully focus on the Italian championship and not have this cloud of maybe coming to Toronto hanging over and distracting his players or him from coaching that team to more wins. So I think that is a big part of it. Seriously. Infamous is saying, I find it funny how no one from our local media broke this hiring. It shows you how out of touch our local media is. People were noting this, that Woj broke this. It is, you know what it is? It's not even, this is the symptom of it. It's not the Toronto media's fault. We don't talk to them. It's obvious that we don't talk to them at all up here. So it's more likely that the leak for what is happening came from down in Memphis because Darko told somebody in their organization, I'm taking the Raptors job. And then they turned around and told Woj from the Memphis Grizzlies organization. It's more likely that they found out from that than from anywhere up here on this side of the border. And that's why it's more likely that Woj broke it than Michael Grange or Josh Lewenberg or somebody like that. It's probably because the information came from the Grizzlies side of things. And that's why Woj broke it. Cool Cat saying Sergio 62 and Darko 44. Darko's younger than when Nick Nurse was hired. He has a philosophy: make a decision within 5 seconds or less with the ball. Lots of ball movement. Yeah, I love that about him. We're gonna have more movement. No dribble, 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 dribble the clock, and then try and do an isolation move to beat somebody. Fred, I'm sorry, that goes against the new coach's philosophy. No more of that, Pascal. You got 5 seconds. You better figure out what you're going to do real quick and keep that ball moving around, because that's what Coach Darko is wanting. Yeah, Nameless saying the way you just described Darko is partly how people describe myself. Bam. Whoa, all right. Maybe Nameless, we know the new name of Nameless. And what if it's revealed that Nameless is not Buckthorn? He is Darko Rajakovic. Well, I want you to change your name right now, Nameless. Maybe you can't because you've changed it so much in the last week. Could you change your name to Darko Rajakovic? You could be acting like you're him in the chat with us. And then people that don't know this channel will come in and be like, they have Darko Rajakovic on the Raptor Street channel? How did they get the coach of the Raptors in there talking to them already? Yeah, if you are like him, let's do this. You were already Buckthorn this week. You're nameless. You can take on any name. So maybe you need to be Darko. Yeah, that'd be fun. We could do some fun role playing there. Just kind of goofy improv with you being Darko. That'd be funny. All right, let's keep going. Monique saying, great deep dive by Amit Man on Darko indeed. Yeah, it was about a month ago. Thank you, Amit Man, for doing those pieces on different coaching candidates in the last month or so. This one really paid off. And I'm sure you're getting major clicks in the last 24 hours because of your great interview with Jamichael Cole. That was just a really good interview and insightful about the possibilities with Darko Rajakovic as our coach now. So yeah, you're ahead of the curve, Ahmed. You're killing it. You and CJ Miles and a lot of the stuff you've been doing with Yahoo has been very, very good in the last year or so. Monique's also saying, now I want to go to the first preseason game to see Darko coach early. She's really excited now. You know, Monique's going to start counting down the days very soon to when Raptors basketball is going to be coming back. I'm going to be looking forward to your countdowns, Monique. I know they're coming. Stillman's here. Good to see Stillman 65, a great Raptor freak. Hey, Lex. Good morning, Raptor freak family. On a side note, how about Conor McGregor putting the Miami Heat's mascot in the hospital after a promo skit went sideways during the game the other night? Anybody see this? Yes, I have seen this, that Conor actually really hit him. And the guy who plays Bernie had to go to the emergency room because he hit him pretty damn good. You know, these guys are professionals and they're scary. And like, even if there's a mascot costume in there, if you hit him right, he probably hit him for real. And he didn't realize he probably could actually make contact with him through the weird Bernie suit that the guy was wearing. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And then they had like this really weird, like a thing in the middle of the game where they had to carry this lady out on a stretcher during the last finals game. That was weird also, seeing like a person in a stretcher getting wheeled out in the middle of the game. The NBA has been so weird this year. You know, there's a thread on Twitter right now that somebody started, said, this has been the funniest NBA season because, and then people are just dropping interesting, funny things that happened from this last year that really is making it seem like this was one of the funniest weird seasons. You know, things like DR DeRozan screeching at us in our playing game. You know, funny things like Patrick Beverley running and grabbing the camera to show Eric Lewis that he got the call wrong. And then, you know, talking about how Eric Lewis is in trouble now. You know, things with LeBron, things with Shannon Sharp getting into it with the Memphis Grizzlies in the middle of the game. They're putting all these episodes of things that happened this past season and talking about how this is the most hilarious NBA season ever in the history of the NBA. And I kind of agree with that. If you can find that thread on Twitter, it's a very enjoyable thread. And it does really show how ludicrous and crazy the NBA is at this point with the crazy stuff happening. And that's one of them. Connor McDavid punching out Bernie, the mascot of the Miami Heat. Yeah, you can't write this shit. Cool Cat saying, Raptor Freak crew, Raptors Masai always gives Adrian Wojnarowski the final decisions to announce on ESPN. So you think Masai told Woj to drop the Woj bomb? I don't think that's what it is. I think that they weren't going to tell anybody, and it's just that Rajakovic informed the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies were like, okay, he's taking the Toronto job, and then they just happened to tell somebody, and nobody up here told anything. I really do think that's why it's a Woj bomb and not like a Lewenberg bomb. You know, it's because we are so quiet up here. We're not telling them from up here. It's like, okay, I've taken the job with Toronto, And he tells Taylor Jenkins, and Taylor Jenkins tells his assistant, and then they're like, holy crap, Darko took the job with Toronto. And then Woj is like, I've heard through sources that Darko Rajakovic is the next head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Boom, that's how it happens. I don't think Masai's calling Adrian and saying, hey, Adrian, you want to announce our new head coach? You get the privilege. I don't think that's how it works. I think it really is that like it's all worked out on private, and Darko's just like telling the team he's on currently that he's leaving, and then they're like, "Oh, whoa, he's leaving," and then that's how it gets leaked out. It's not from us in any kind of way. I'm pretty sure. Mike's saying W stream, W to you, Mike. Thank you for all the good hard work you do. Monique's saying, "Let's go, Darko and W stream, Lex, all around." Thank you, Monique. A happy birthday weekend to you. What a great birthday present for you yesterday, Mr. Rajakovic, coming to take the reins. Cool Cat saying, what I like is that Nick Nurse ISO coaching is out the window. I always hated how much he made Pascal earn his points the most difficult way. He was also starting to do that with Scotty, OG, and Fred. It was horrible with it. It was annoying. It really was. Basketball is a team sport. You play it a team way on the defensive end, Nick. But on the offensive end, it's like it's not a team sport. You're trying to make it an individual sport with Pascal and Fred all the time. Fuck that shit. We're done with that. No more ISO ball. That's not something Darko likes anymore. So if Raptor fans want at least one huge improvement that's going to happen this year, get rid of the isolation ball. You ain't going to see it because Darko is anti-isolation. And so you're not going to see it that much. That's right. Cool Cat's saying also, Masai always gives Woj the final decisions over the years. Yeah, I still don't think that's what it is. I think it is that it gets leaked from the other side and that they're not talking to anyone. If he has some sort of relationship with Woj and he does that, okay, I may be wrong. You may know something that I don't know. But I think it really is the Memphis side that leaked things as far as what happened. All right, we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes. Let me just real quick make sure I did not do the subject for a day, whatever. I'll slam ESPN later this summer. There'll be lots of time to do that on another Sunday. It's just really important. We talk about the hiring of Darko Rajakovic as the new head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Very, very happy about this hiring. I think that the average Raptors fan may be like questioning it, unknown, but just trust us that are in the know and have been paying attention real closely. This is a good hire, y'all. And it's going to turn out to be something really fun in the years to come. I love how on Darko's Twitter, he has thanks to all these other people. He's a person full of gratitude himself. He's thanking Tyler Jenkins. He's thanking Greg Popovich. He's thanking Monty Williams. He's thanking Maurice Cheeks on his Twitter. And he's just thankful. He's just a thankful person full of gratitude. And that's what I want to see. Somebody like that coaching our Raptors. So I'm very, very happy about the hire, y'all. Reminder, this is the last day of the third week of the WNBA Fantasy League we're playing in. So this is the last day. You get your lineup set up today, and maybe you can make something happen on the last day in your matchup if it's close. I see that Monique and Edmund are very close in their matchup. So make sure you get your teams set up for today because we're switching it over to the fourth matchup tomorrow. So finish up your WNBA Fantasy League week by setting your roster for Sunday for sure. All right, I'm going to get out of here, y'all. Tomorrow we'll do a Monday moment. I'm not sure what it'll be on. Maybe it'll be just more Darko stuff. We can talk Darko a lot in the days to come, and especially when he starts filling out his coaching staff. When we want to know who he's bringing in and who's going to be around our team this year. It's going to be fun to see how this all goes. Well, and also, as I said, I'm going to switch gears a bit and get more looking at these draft prospects for number 13th pick for the Toronto Raptors in the draft in the next 2 weeks. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. I appreciate everybody liking, commenting, subscribing. It's so helpful, and I really appreciate y'all's contributions in the chat as far as like great ideas and comments and opinions and jokes and all kinds of stuff. You guys are the best, Raptor Freak family. I love you guys, and I will see y'all tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Let's go, Raptors. We are going dark mode. That's right. Let's get ready to get dark, baby. Yeah, it's going to be a little dark in Toronto now, and we wouldn't have it any other way. All right, y'all. Have a great Sunday, and let's get this week started right with the new head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Let's go, Darko!